All righty. Good evening, everyone. This meeting is being called to order. Adequate notice of the meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to Public Laws 1975, Chapter 231. This agenda is complete to the extent known and was sent to the Trenton Times and the Trentonian newspapers, posted on the first floor bulletin board in the City Hall, filed in the City Clerk's office, and posted on the City of Trenton's website. Formal action will be taken. Roll call, Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Blakely. Mr. Blakely, you're muted, sir. There was some background noise coming from you. If you hit the space bar, it should unmute you.
Present.
I see you say present, sir. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison should be joining us shortly. Mr. Michel.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ms. Vaughn. Council President McBride.
I'm present.
Council President, we have a quorum. I'll now call the directors. Mr. Cruz.
Good evening, Council and members of the public present.
Mr. Cherry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm present.
Mr. Bridges.
Present.
Mr. Coley. Director
Present.
Coley. Thank you, ma'am.
Present.
Chief Mazio.
Present.
Director Delisle.
Present.
Director Lopez.
Good evening. I'm present.
Thank you, ma'am. I didn't know if you were going to make it. I did forward your email earlier.
Yes, I did make it. Thank you so much.
Very welcome, ma'am. Director on Interior.
Present.
Director Richardson.
Present. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Director Lavenberg.
Present.
CFO Zelinski.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Council President, we have a quorum. The directors are here.
All righty, we may continue.
Ma'am, first we have a presentation for the Recreation Update on Parks and Recreation Projects by Maria Richardson. And Ms. Richardson, do you need screen sharing?
Mr. Conlon, I was under the understanding that my presentation would be on Thursday. That's why I haven't sent you my my slides.
My apologies, ma'am. I was advised that the presentation would be on Tuesday and that the mayor's presentation would be on Thursday during the regular council meeting. So, at the discretion of the council president, we can reschedule if you'd like, Council President.
Yes, if she's not
Yeah,
prepared.
I wasn't advised of that.
Thursday.
My apologies, ma'am. I thought you were, so I will make sure that that the agenda is sent to you next time. I thought it was sent to you. And that you would work that out. Actually, I was advised that you would work that date out with during that meeting, and that's why that date was selected. So I apologize for that. That was a misunderstanding. I'll reschedule at your office. Council President, would you like to proceed to docket review?
Yes, please.
There will be no minutes for approval. We are still working on hiring a staff member, which will be joining us shortly. That will alleviate some of the stress on some of the other time-sensitive items. There are a number of communications and petitions to the clerk's office that will, if anybody wants them read or identified from the record at the meeting, please let me know. There will be a monthly revenue report from the clerk's office as well as a raffle approval from the clerk's office. There will be no second readings for public ordinances, and we have the resolutions. Ma'am, would you like me to proceed to the resolutions?
Please.
First, we have Resolution 21-115, a resolution requiring members of the Trenton America Rescue Plan Advisory Committee or Board to execute conflict of interest and non-disclosure confidentiality agreements. Floor is open for debate. This is introduced by Councilmember Vaughn.
Madam President,
Yes, go right ahead.
I'd like to introduce an amendment to this resolution.
To what resolution? To the resolution?
1.5.
The conflict of interest?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Go right ahead. Mr.
In the middle, what it says, number 3. It says 5 years. Not only they are prohibited from being a committee or board member and a fund recipient, but also that any and all organizations that have received funds from the city of Trenton during the, it says, last 5
For
years.
some reason or another, I can't hear him. Can anyone
I
else
am-
hear Miss?
Not
I'm
muted.
having a hard time hearing him.
I don't hear him at all.
Do you hear me now?
I
Yes,
can hear
now
you.
I do. Mhm.
I'm using the other, I couldn't get the link in my new tablet, so, an amendment to, what's it, number 3. It says the city of, organizations that have received funds from the city of Trenton during the last, it says 5 years, and I want to amend it to say, instead of 5 years, say 2 years. Do I need to make a motion for that?
Well, okay, the way it would work, sir, is you can discuss whatever amendments each individual council member wants now, and then when the time comes to vote for it, you can propose your amendment on the floor, and we can vote on it when we vote on the actual resolution. We're not actually voting on the resolution tonight, so if you have a proposed
Yeah,
amendment,
but we are deciding whether it's going to go in the roll call or the consent agenda.
right, so this would probably go in the roll call because it wouldn't be able to be a consent agenda because as presented, it would have to actually be roll call.
Okay.
If you're going to amend it on the
No,
floor.
no problem, no problem.
That's not a problem, sir. And do any other council members have any comments for proposed amendments on the floor when they come up? This is actually the time to discuss that. Mr. Rodriguez was very correct in his discussion.
Seeing that there's no further discussion, you may move to roll call that particular resolution.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-118, a resolution approving person-to-person and place-to-place transfer of plenary retail consumption license 1111-33-184-006. This is the location at 802 Center Street.
Madam President,
Go right ahead, Councilman
I'd like to
Rodriguez.
know if the zoning board approved that location. I know exactly where it is. That used to be a grocery store. There's no parking there at all. And I wonder if the zoning board, is this okay with the zoning board to make that place from a grocery store to a bar?
That would be part of the liquor license application to ensure that all the zoning requirements have been met. So I don't necessarily know that it had to go in front of the zoning board, but it certainly would have gone in front of the zoning officer, and he would have determined whether a variance was necessary or not, and that would have been part of the application process.
Can we get that document for Thursday?
I can attempt to get that document for you on Thursday, sir.
Okay, so roll call it.
I will have whatever document is available or an explanation of what is available and why, sir.
Yeah, from zoning.
From zoning, yes, absolutely. No, I'm not, I will get you whatever they have.
Okay.
Council President, any other comments?
And no, that one is going to be roll called for now because
Yes,
he
ma'am.
needs the information. We
Yes,
can
ma'am.
move on to 21-119.
Yes, ma'am. Then we actually have Resolution 21-119, a resolution approving person-to-person transfer of plenary retail consumption license number 1111-33-047-009 to Tunis LLC.
If there's no questioning for 119, you can move it to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-120. This is a resolution endorsing this is the United States House of Representatives Bill 20-2070, a bill in committee at the United States House of Representatives to be cited as the Puerto Rico Self-Determination Act. Floor is open.
If there's no discussion for 21-120, move it to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. I do believe Mr. Rodriguez, who is the introducing member of this, did want this roll call, though, so it can be read.
No. I don't want it roll call.
Okay, very good, sir. I just wanted to see.
No, leave it like that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Thank you. It will be moved to the consent agenda. Next, we have from the Department of Administration, Adam E. Cruz Business Administration, Resolution 21-121. Resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44 Cap A 20.4 et sec to Edmunds GovTech to provide application software support and maintenance for the Edmunds and Associates Financial Package HW Racer SQL3 and MCSJ.
Mr. Collins, you went completely mute.
Yeah, no, I have to mute somebody in the audience, ma'am. My apologies. MCSJ/MCSAX/SBX/UA system upgrades in an amount not to exceed $25,050 for a period of 1 year from April 1st, 2021 to March 21st, 2022 through RFP 2021-08.
If there's no discussion, move for 21-122 to be added to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-122, a resolution authorizing an additional 3-month contract extension to Unicorn HRO to continue to provide payroll and human resource information system services from April 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2021, in an amount not to exceed $215.83 through competitive contract 2017-02.
I'm sorry, it's Robin Vaughn. I just joined because I had a very difficult time getting in, and the link was not working, and I don't understand why that's the case. This is the first time this has ever happened, so it's concerning. So can we start at the beginning, please?
Council President, would you like to start?
No, we're going to continue where we are, but if she wants to expound on Resolution 21-123, we're on 21.
Can I read just what has occurred for the council member? So maybe okay.
Yes, definitely.
Resolution 21-115, your resolution is being roll called. Mr. Rodriguez proposed an amendment that will be, which he proposes on the floor for Thursday to change the third paragraph to 2 years instead of 5 years.
Okay, very well.
Resolution 21-118 was also roll called. That's a person-to-person, place-to-place transfer of a plenary retail consumption license. Mr. Rodriguez is asked to provide the zoning information with regard to that location, whether they've been approved or not for zoning. The next is a transfer, Resolution 21-119. It's a pocket license transfer, so it's not an active location. They move that to consent agenda. Next is 21-120. That's the resolution endorsing House of Representatives Bill 20-70, a bill in committee of the United States House of Representatives to be cited as the Puerto Rico Self-Determination Act. Mr. Rodriguez asked, and the council decided to go to the consent agenda with that. And we just, next is a resolution 21-121, which is for our Edmunds system, for that contract. And that was also asked for the consent agenda. And we are now on 21-122, which is a 3-month extension to Unicorn HRO to provide payroll and human resource information system services from April 1st, 2021 to June 30, 2021, in an amount not to exceed $44,215.83 through competitive contract 2017-02, and that's where we're at now.
Excellent, thank you.
You're very welcome. And I'm sorry about the link. I don't know why, but I did resend the link out to council, but I didn't create that link. That was taken from the thing. I know that Microsoft has been having issues with the link. I did hear from some other people. I changed the link in the agenda that we posted online. I don't know if that resolved the issue, but I just cut and paste the link directly out of the Microsoft Teams. So I apologize if the link didn't work. I'll have IT look into that. We are on to Resolution 21-122. Did anybody wish to be heard? Council?
Yes, we'll move to put it on the consent agenda as part of the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-123, a resolution awarding a contract through a competitive contracting request for proposal process with Prime Point LLC to provide payroll and human resource information system services for the city of Trenton for a period of 3 years from July 1st, 2021 to June 30, 2024. In an amount not to exceed $760,578 through competitive contract 2021-03.
Can we roll call that, please?
It's roll call, Mr. Collins.
Yes, ma'am. Did anybody else have any comments or anything on it? Or would you like me to proceed?
Yeah, Yes, I do have comments on that.
Or
and I
amendments
will-
or procedural issues, ma'am. Thank you.
Pardon me?
No, nothing, ma'am. My apologies. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I would like to discuss that one. That's the finance department, right?
No, this is the payroll department.
This is for our payroll system to pay the employees through administration.
Yeah. So, could I, but that's Department of Administration, Human Resources Payroll, that's under Adam Cruz, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so, could Adam Cruz speak to this? I have a question.
Mr. Cruz?
Yes, Madam President, I am available if you wish me to respond to Mrs.
Yes.
Vaughn's questions. Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, so this particular contract, I have had some concerns. So you're just renewing to, the payroll still has not been fully automated. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, the what has not been automated?
The payroll process has not been fully automated. We still don't have the option to receive the pay stub versus I have concerns about renewing this particular vendor's contract for another 3 years, and they have not upgraded their technology.
Madam Councilwoman, this is actually it's for a new vendor, and we are putting in a new contract for a 3-year contract with a new vendor. We're going from the company name Unicorn to a company now called Prime Point, and effective in July, we should be fully functioning under the new contract under the new company.
Okay, so that's good news.
Yes.
I just want to make certain that, are they going to bring that, the functionality of the payroll system will be greater for of course, the users, which is the city of Trenton, the employees, particularly the option of whether or not to be paperless or receive your pay stubs. Under the current, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. My apologies. That is correct, Councilwoman.
So this particular organization will have that capability.
Yes.
And so I get a paycheck from the city of Trenton that's processed through the current payroll system. And right now, I don't have the option of saying, checking the box and say, I want my pay stub to be delivered electronically, paperless, and of course, go online to review it and all that stuff. So the new system and the new provider here will be able to provide that functionality.
That is correct. Yes.
Service.
Yes.
Okay, that's good news.
Yes.
Madam President,
Yes, go right ahead, Council.
I have a question. The last contract was for 588,778, but this is 1,738,000. This is what? 173,000, I guess. More.
No, sir, it's 762,000, sir.
763 more, right, than the last one. And how comes?
No, Councilman, if you look at the resolution on the last whereas, it says that I'm sorry, my apologies. It states that for the 3 years, it's 762,558, whereas for the first year, you will have an amount of 294,526, and for the second year,
I can't hear. What's going on?
He's muted.
Yeah, somebody hit mute all. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Yes, I did get muted. I'll start from the beginning. So, Councilman, on the first whereas of the resolution, on the last whereas of the resolution, there is the full amount for the 3 years is 762,578, but then it's broken down by year. For the first year, because we're doing the conversion, we're going from the other company to the first company. To the other company, it's going to be 294,526. But for the second year, the amount will be 234,026, and for the third year, it'll be 234,026.
I got that. I still feel it's a lot of money, but that's the way it is. Can you roll for it?
Mr. Conlon?
Yes, ma'am, I was muted too. Yes, I will, I have to mark that for roll call, ma'am.
Thank you. You may continue.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-124. A resolution authorizing the Trenton Police Department to donate canine dog Auric to canine officer Michael Lucchese as a personal pet.
Madam President, I have a question about this. I think it's four of those resolutions. Are those dogs being retired from the police duties, or what is it? They are too old for the service?
Santiago, they're retiring the dog.
Okay. Thank you, Marsh.
They're retiring the dog.
Thank you, Marsh. So it makes sense. Okay, I'm good with that.
All righty, so if there's no more questions for 21-124, it can be a part of the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-125, a resolution authorizing the Trenton Police Department to donate canine dog Loki to canine officer Timothy Miller as a personal pet.
The only question I have is the officer that is becoming the custodian of the animal, is that the person that actually trained with the animal and rode with the animal over the years?
Yes.
Should be.
Well, no, it's going to Officer Lucchese, who is also a canine officer.
Well, the last one was for Lucchese, ma'am. This one is for Officer Miller. There's actually four of them.
Yeah, it usually goes to the same officer that's worked with it for years.
Right, that was my question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. If there's no more questions for 21-125, it could be a part of the consent agenda.
And just Officer Lucchese's dog was actually assigned to Officer Lucchese. Loki was actually assigned to Officer Wilkie Guillot. And the next one is Resolution 21-126, a resolution authorizing the Trenton Police Department to donate canine dog Luke to canine officer John McGinley as a personal pet. And this dog was actually servicing with Officer McGinley as well.
Thank you. If there's no questions, we'll add it as part of the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-127, a resolution authorizing the Trenton Police Department to donate canine dog Nico to canine officer Davis as a personal pet. And this dog did actually serve with Officer Davis as well.
No questions, we'll move it to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have resolutions to the Department of Fire. Christopher Mazior, Acting Director. I'm sorry. He is Acting Director. Resolution 21-128. Resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Super Laundry Company for the purchase, delivery, and setup of 3 gear extractors and 3 dryers to be located at Fire Station 3, 9, and 10 to ensure compliance with NFPA Standard 185, an amount not to exceed $66,936 through bid 2021-12.
If there's no questions, we can move this particular resolution 21-128 to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-129, a resolution authorizing contract to service the tire truck company for the furnishing and delivery of repeat repetitive proprietary tires, parts, and materials for various apparatus and vehicles throughout fire stations through New Jersey State Contract Number M800020 Fleet -00948 for a period of 1 year and an amount not to exceed $30,000.
Is there any questions? If not, move 21-129 to the consent.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-07. These are from the Department of Health and Human Services. Dr. Lopez, Acting Director. First, we have Resolution 21-078. Resolution authorizing a subgrant agreement with Monarch Housing and a shared services agreement with provide coordination activities, project monitoring and evaluation, COC application preparation, developing a COC system, and compliance activities. Amount is $126,483.
Madam President,
Yes, go right ahead, Councilman Rodriguez.
can somebody tell me what COC means? I am done. COC system.
Continuum of Care, Councilman Rodriguez. Continuum of Care program.
I got it. I understand what it is now.
Okay, all right.
But those it
That's
is.
no problem. No problem.
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead, Council.
I just want to make sure that we are operating in compliance with the regulatory requirement regarding municipal or government to government shared service agreement. So why is Monarch Housing as part of the shared service if it's with the county?
May I answer that, Madam President?
Yes, go right ahead, Dr.
Monarch is a private institution, right? It's an outside entity, it's not a government, correct?
Correct. They were the sole bidder contract that we had for this grant agreement. So it's threefold. We have the county, the city, and Monarch Housing.
But is that, is the law department on the call? Because the law, I believe DCA had explicitly stated that we cannot contract with an outside entity in a shared service agreement. Shared service agreements are between government to government, local government to county, local government to state, local government to federal, etc. How is Monarch involved in this equation?
Monarch was actually approved by DCA and the county as well as the sole bidder. And what Monarch is providing, they're monitoring coordinated entry when it comes to homelessness. They're focusing on our data collection. They're evaluating our system performance as well as collaborating with our housing and service providers.
I'm not sorry. That's fine. I'm not questioning the Monarch and what they do. And okay. I'm questioning the contract, whether the terms and we're entering into a shared service agreement and we're bringing in a third party. I'm asking, is that with regulations? Is that compliant with laws and regulations?
Yes, it is.
Well, I want the law department to come back to us on Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Councilwoman. I will review that and get back to you. I wasn't prepared for that question. I'm happy to address that prior to the next meeting for your edification.
Okay, and if you can get back to me before the meeting, whether or not a Monarch can be a third party identified in the shared service agreement.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Did you want to give him a little background, Councilwoman Vaughn, based on the Trenton Health team and the giving them a actual contract versus going out to bid? That is the background on it, Mr. Bridges.
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. Yes. So Council President is correct. We have a history of having a couple of contracts that were not properly entered into. One was with the Trenton Health team, and one was, I can't think offhand, it was another entity that we had. I believe it was, I want to say that
it was the Henry J. Austin Health Center.
Exactly. Thank you, Council President. Yes, and DCA, the former director, had informed the administration as well as the council that those contracts were not valid because they were not, in essence, compliant with the law. So we cannot again enter into a contract with a third-party entity and under the guidance of a shared service agreement. So, Mr. Bridges, can you please confirm whether Monarch is the way this contract is structured is compliant with all the rules and regulations?
Yes.
And can we please roll call it, Mr. Collins?
And Madam President, if I may,
yes.
Just to give you the heads up, DCA did approve this contract. We have a number for it. So Monarch was approved and Mercer County was also approved.
Thank you, Adam. I did note that.
You're welcome.
Again, I will say, DCA has not been consistent in their guidance and governance of the city of Trenton. So again, I will ask the law department to go back and validate and have DCA, if necessary, to review it again and reference the two other vendors as a precedent for that guidance or for that change, that a government cannot enter into a shared service agreement with a non-government entity. And Monarch is a non-government entity. So let's just dot our I's and cross our T's, okay? And to make sure that this contract was entered into, is structured properly and is in compliance with the laws.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That will be a roll call, and we'll wait for your information back, Mr. Bridges. You may continue, Mr. Collin.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-130, a resolution exercising the option to extend the contract for an additional 1 year to Our Children LA to provide a social services mobile application for at-risk and homeless youth in an amount not to exceed $14,000 through competitive contract 2018-07.
Dr. Lopez.
Yes, I'm here.
This is Councilwoman McBride. So I just wanted to know, being that we were on the homeless, two homeless resolutions, if you had the opportunity to reach out to the county, Health and Human Services, and to the other municipalities to discuss our conversation in reference to bringing them to the table to so that we would know what their plan is to shoulder their responsibility as far as our homeless population that is coming from their municipalities. Were you able to have that conversation yet?
I had a conversation with the county council president, and of course, for them to have that meeting, it has to be cleared through the county executive and chief of staff. So I did have that discussion. As far as other counties, I believe there's only two municipalities that have similar departments such as mine. But they still will go through the county for that. And just so you know that our the city is actually the sole municipality when it comes to the homelessness and housing them. And so there's no other homelessness center in any other municipality. It's only in Trenton. And this has been some time. So we want to talk about how we can expand that to other municipalities. Then we all have to come back to the table and look at what we've done years ago and really look at how we could benefit all municipalities and bring it to the table. But I did bring and have that discussion with the county. And so once they are cleared through the county executive, if so, then that meeting will be held. But I was informed that they had subsequent meetings prior to me. With city council about this homelessness population that was involved.
We have requested a meeting with these entities, and that is my biggest concern, is that the city of Trenton is shouldering all of the responsibility for the homeless throughout the county, and no one else is taking on any initiatives to help shoulder this responsibility. And so that is the reason that we had asked and requested several times to sit down with the county and the other municipalities so that we can begin this discussion moving forward. We must get some assistance. We're putting a total strain on our police department. We've discussed about our overpass, the aggressive panhandling. All of those issues combined is really putting a strain on the city of Trenton. And so we need to have this discussion. It's very important that we be able to sit down and move this conversation forward.
Okay, I don't know how I got muted, but I agree with you, Council President, wholeheartedly, and I will circle back with the county. I was just giving them some time to come up with if they're going to be in agreement to have that meeting. So I will circle back so we could have that, because again, I understand the concern. I do see the concern. and something that has been in place for years. And how do you work on those multiple layers? It doesn't happen overnight, but it does begin with a conversation and how we can move forward. So I'm truly open to that. And so I will circle back with the county to ensure that happens.
Thank you. Thank you,
Council
Doctor.
President,
Yes, go right
Council
ahead.
President.
Yes.
Yes, Director Lopez, this is Councilwoman Caldwell Wilson.
Yes, how are
We
you?
did have a roundtable. We did have a roundtable meeting several years ago.
Mhm.
And the state was included in that because the Department of Transportation is responsible for those areas where those people are panhandling, and they're supposed to handle that. But we had the Mary Gay Abbott there from the homeless shelter, and several folks from the county and from other municipalities. And we discussed about boots on the ground and finding out where these people came from and try and hold those municipalities responsible. And the council president is correct. We need to have a meeting with these municipalities that don't bear the burden of their homeless and their needy. And they send everybody to Trenton, and it's just becoming overwhelming.
Yeah,
So
I agree. And
would
because
appreciate it if you put that meeting together. Yes, thank you.
yes, yeah, I'm trying to get that done. But we are the only municipality that housed the homelessness, the population here. So just trying to get all the parties involved who is from the original roundtable would be extremely helpful to move this meeting forward. So again, I wasn't here years ago, but it would be helpful to know who were the parties and then reaching out so I can set this roundtable discussion up. I have no issue with that.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman.
Yes, we should roll call this if Mr. Collins. And Ms. Lopez, I would just ask the question that we're extending a contract to an entity, a service provider, and I just want to, I've been trying to ask this across all department heads, and I'm not just, targeting you or picking on you, but when we opt to extend a contract to a service provider, is there a report or a review regarding performance and whether or not they delivered the outcomes and the services that they said that they were delivered before you decided to extend them a contract? And if you have a process in place where, and maybe the business administrator can chime in, because we do a lot of extending of contracts to vendors that, giving them more money, more value on their contract, and we're not seeing any other results. So I'm not down with, extending entities another contract and they haven't produced the outcomes that were anticipated or defined under the previous contract. So I just want to know, what process do you have in place in your department to measure the outcomes of these service providers and to assure that the taxpayers of the city of Trenton that they're doing and providing the service that their money is paying them for?
Right. Well, I can speak for this particular resolution that you're seeking the roll call. And so because of COVID, the contract year to start this was postponed for the WIN app. So, this is an application for our homelessness with our youth. And it helps them to identify services and resources and housing opportunities by computer or by phone. So we feel that this is truly helpful. And because of COVID, the onset of it, no cost did occur for this mobile application from February to September of 2020. So we're looking at having an extension to allow that for our youth. Because of COVID, that didn't happen. And we thought it would be beneficial for our homeless youth for this particular application.
So since the services were not able to be delivered because of COVID, so I would assume that the provider didn't invoice us, right, for the same period, correct?
I didn't know. We did not receive no invoice, ma'am.
Okay. So, and I will also ask, But they shouldn't be invoicing us for that period if they haven't done anything during that period. I want to make sure of that. And then the other thing is, but going forward, so I would like to know, once they implement the app, are they going to be giving you a metrics report that measures and track how many folks are using the app and what they're using it for, and have they been located and all that stuff, right?
My team does usually receive those statistical data. Yes, they do.
Okay, so can you share that with the council when you get those reports? Well, no. I mean from this particular vendor using this particular app that's generated from this application.
Okay.
Right, because they're saying that they're providing a service, an application that's unique to their organization to homeless youth, right, or at-risk individuals for homelessness.
Correct.
So I don't want metrics from your organization or from the city. I want their metrics that was produced by this application that's supposed to enhance our ability to track this information. So I just want to know how effective their technology is and whether or not the homeless people are actually using it.
Right. And I hear you. I hear you loud and clear, Councilwoman Vaughn, that you want an evidence-based approach from the WIN application. I got you.
Very
I'll
good.
make note of it. You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Conlon, that will be roll called. We may move on to the next resolution.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-079, a resolution accepting bids and awarding a contract to PMY Construction Corporation for citywide basketball court renovation program to provide all labor and materials as needed to renovate basketball courts citywide in an amount not to exceed $446,340 through bid 2020-69. And I did also want to note for the record, Mr. Harrison had arrived some time ago, so I just wanted to note that for the record as well. 21-070. Floor is open.
Madam President?
Go right ahead, Councilman Rodriguez.
Yes, I'd like to ask Maria if the Third Street Playground, whatever you call it, Pony Park or whatever, is that included in this? And why is this just for basketball and not for the other equipment?
May I ask President Maria Richardson?
Yes, go right ahead, Maria.
Yes, Council Rodriguez, Third Street Park is included. And although it says this is for basketball court, although it will include the polo court in Lipinski and the platform that is also there in Third Street Park, which sometimes is used as a valuable.
The playground equipment that is all screwed up is not going to be replaced.
It is, but this is a separate resolution for the renovation, because the same one company doesn't do the playground renovation and the concrete and court renovation. So you, a few weeks ago, you already approved a resolution to repair the playground. This is specifically basketball and the polo court renovation.
But a few weeks ago, I didn't see that Third Street Playground included. I didn't see it. I probably, I wasn't looking to.
It is included, sir.
It is included?
Yes.
Okay. And also, since you're going to give us a report Thursday, and I saw the whole report, not too many projects that have been completed or have been started. It's just plans mostly. I have to say, we agree last year for a combination basketball and soccer, saying that you had it for the North Ward and you switched it to Westerfield at the request of Councilman Harrison. When is that project going to start? Because it's summertime already.
That is not even been submitted before council. Councilman, that will come out of CDBG funding, and it's not ready to be presented to council yet, although you will see part of the planning process in my presentation on Thursday.
Maria, excuse me, but you said the money was coming from an agency or from another program. It wasn't. You didn't mention CDBG funds for that.
The only money that I could have mentioned.
Marsh Cardwell could probably clarify me because she opposes for the park on the North Ward.
Oh, okay. No, I'm so sorry. I thought that we were talking about a different project. You are talking about the mini.
Yes. Very interesting. I want it there. You know.
Yes. I don't know if the council remember that project, when it was presented, it was as part of, we were using Merced Play money to match the money from the USDA, the U.S. Soccer Federation.
Yes.
We requested for them to fund the Wetzel project rather than Lipinski, and they are in the process of revising their contract in order for us to come back to council with that process. So yes, that is ongoing.
Okay.
But because it wasn't all our money, we need to wait for the approval of the U.S. Soccer Foundation.
Also, since you are here now, I've seen a lot of work at the Hesserfield pool. A lot of work, good work have been done, the parking lot, but the park itself, I still don't see anything moving there. No bleachers, nothing for the park itself.
It will happen, sir. The resolution for the expenditure was approved.
Yes, I remember.
Submitted prices. We requested prices for the bleachers from two companies. And one company that was allegedly was a national co-op. After the purchasing agent did her work, it wasn't a national co-op, so we needed to go out again and get new prices. So that's why
also, Unity Park. I've been waiting for those bleachers for years. And that's the last one.
Those will be installed.
They were installed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Alrighty. If no one else had any questions on the 21-131, then it will be part of the consent.
Actually, ma'am, we're on 21-079.
I have a question on 21079, Council President.
Oh, go right ahead.
Okay, so, Ms. Richardson, number one, I appreciate Councilman Rodriguez's questions, and I will ask, so I remember the resolution that he's speaking about, and it's very interesting that you just shared that the contractor that you introduced with further vetting was not able to do the work for whatever the reason. Now, when that happens, what happens to the resolution and the approved funding?
I think that we are talking about two different resolutions, Councilwoman. I think that you are talking about Sourcewell. I remember that you had questions about that.
Yeah, and you said that was through the state. You said you got that from the state portal.
Exactly, and that continues to be, but that was not for bleachers, that was for playgrounds.
Right, and what happened to them?
We are in the process of receiving the items.
Okay, so what date are they going to start the work? Because it's springtime. What day are they planning on starting the work?
I can get that information for you for Thursday. They should have started today, but I will get that information for you on Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, it would be great if your project plan and your document that you send over, if a project is underway and we have approved it and monies is in the account and the vendor is invoicing or is beginning to invoice, then they should submit a plan that has a timeline that says when they're going to start and when they're going to complete the job.
When we are talking about goods, when we are talking about services, that is the case, Councilwoman. When we are talking about goods, the city can only disperse the funding once we have received the items. So no money has been dispersed to this company.
Okay, but, all right,
The money
even
can
though,
only be dispersed when we receive the items.
okay, so, again, but they need to send us a plan and tell us when they're going to start the work on the playgrounds and when they're going to finish the anticipated completion date. And I believe that organization has a project management team, right? So yeah, so either you need to do that for them, or I don't care who does it. But I need to see a project plan that says when that playground is going to be when the work is going to be started and when it's expected to complete. Simple as that.
I do my presentation on Thursday.
Okay. All right, you can give us a report too. You don't have to wait to give a presentation. You can keep
You
us.
actually should have received a report that I sent yesterday.
I saw it, but again, it should be interactive, right? We shouldn't have to wait. If there is a vendor in the city, and the council has approved a contract to perform work, and we just want to know the start date and finish date. That should be established. If that's not part, I don't want to see. I appreciate your presentation, but can you just email me the start date and the project plans for any of the work that's being done by that on the playgrounds, when it's going to start and when it's going to finish? Okay.
Sure.
Can you do that?
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Okay. All right. Please send it to Mr. Collins so he can distribute it to the whole entire council.
I sure will.
Start date and finish date. And to that end, I'm concerned because there is another park, Grant Avenue Park. I go over there and nothing has been done over there.
I don't think that you have seen any resolution before council talking about Grant Park yet.
Yes, I have. We approved that. Right after we did the Hart Avenue development, Grant Avenue Park, you have gotten a grant to do renovations of that park. Do you want me to send you that resolution that we approved for Grant Avenue Park?
Yes, please.
Mm-hmm. And you said you got money with a grant, and you gave it to, the grant was via, I believe it was East Trenton Collaborative via the New Jersey Community Capital. They were supposed to renovate Grant Avenue Park. Do you know what Grant Avenue Park is off of North Clinton Avenue?
I know exactly where Grant Avenue Park is.
And you're saying that you never came to council with a resolution and grant money for an organization to do renovations on that park?
I might have presented a resolution to apply and accept a grant, but I haven't presented a resolution to start any work in Grant Avenue, in Grant Park.
So the resolution for the grant, have you received the money, the funds for Grant Avenue Park?
No, we have not, Councilwoman.
Okay, so this has been months, but anyways, the reason why I asked that, because it segues into my question about 21079 that we're going to roll call. So again, I want to know when is this organization, this construction company, PMY, is planning on starting the work, and when they're going to complete the work, and which basketball courts are they going to be renovating, and what type of materials are they going to be using? I hope they're going to be using.
Actually, part of the information that was submitted, there is a list there of the playgrounds the basketball courts that are going to be renovated.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so but I need to know when they actually going to start and finish. It's like when you have a project done in your house, if you're doing a kitchen renovation, you want to know when their contractor is going to start your kitchen and when they're going to finish, right?
Absolutely, Councilwoman.
So that's all I'm asking.
That I am not going to provide the information. I already stated that you will get the information on Thursday.
Okay. Well, again, I don't know why you think that you can tell me when you're going to give me the information on Thursday. You should be giving me that information before Thursday. We shouldn't have to have a meeting to get it. So anyways, I look forward to getting your information, but I want to have a plan so I can track when this work is being done on which park and when these folks are going to get done, because then I don't want them coming back to us with some change requests and they don't have enough money to complete the project. So this is why we need a project plan. Okay? And I will be pulling up that, the information on Grant Avenue Park. So, you know, it's just ridiculous. So thank you, Council President. But can we roll call this?
Yes, roll call, Mr. Conlon, and we may continue.
So noted. Next, we have Resolution 21-131, a resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:4 Cap A 20.2 the Taylor Design Group Inc. for landscape architectural professional engineering design for design development, permitting, and construction document preparation for Assapunkt Greenway Parks, Taylor Street, to Amitco Square Park Design and Development, Trenton, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $199,869 through RFP 2020-44.
Question?
Yes, go right ahead, Councilman Rodriguez.
Okay, this is only for construction document preparation. $199,000. I thought the PRS was capable of doing that. That they were landscape architectural professionals. PRS, I think that's why we're paying them a huge amount every year. But why so much money for just one park?
This is a project that was put out as an RFP. Because BRS is actually working as our management company. There is a conflict of interest for them to submit a proposal for this project. So they are not hired as our designed or developers of construction documents. It's a whole different set of specifications. We never hire them to do that kind of work, but they could do it, I'm pretty sure.
But that's not my question, you know, regardless of BRS, why so much money for just doing some prints and stuff, measuring this, looking at that, that's all they do. I know what they do, the so-called architecture professionals, they don't do much, just a little bit, a few prints and that, and the recommendations. That's it. $199,000. That means that at the end of this project, we're going to be spending probably about $2 million.
Well, if you see the, we received 12, I think, answers to this project, and they spent $162,000 to $696,000.
Maria, I understand that, but the thing is, we are not a millionaire city. We have to put specifications. This RFP is limited to $100,000, $50,000, $70,000, not to
But
whatever
that
they
is illegal, Councilman. When we go out for public bidding, we cannot say how much. It's the proposal. That's procurement laws.
Well, okay, Maria, I understand that, but then we could reject all those proposals until we get a fair proposal, because, you know, that they're not going to move nothing. They're not going to do anything to the ground there with that $200,000, actually, 169, yeah, almost $200,000. And then nothing is going to be moved, nothing, not a tree is going to be cut, not a shovel is going to be used. And that's just the beginning for that. And then the rest of it, it would be a multimillionaire project then, because that's quite a big area there. I know where it is, and it's a good idea. You know, I voted for it to work, do the project there. But, you know, if we are starting using $200,000 just for the prints and stuff for the initial thing, I said, wow, how much is it going to be for the whole project? That's my concern.
I understand your concern, sir.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes, Maria? Director
Yes.
Maria? Yeah. Yes. Isn't there going to be funding coming in through the for the Greenway project for this after
We
the
hope
plans
so.
are done?
Yes, we hope so. We've requested a little bit over $1 million from the Greenway to complete this project.
Because I know the governor was down there touting the cleanup and all of that for that area and the Greenway project. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Council President,
Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
so again, I agree and concur 100% with Councilman Rodriguez. Ms. Richardson, this says that the Taylor Design Group will be performing for landscape architectural, professional engineering design, for design development, permitting, and construction document preparation for the Assy Pink Greenway Park. So they're gonna, so tell me what exactly design development and construction document. So they're gonna give a design document, and then they're gonna give us how to build or construct. So they're gonna do the design, and then they're gonna construct, because that's what it says here. So what is it they're gonna actually be doing?
They are going to actually design what we would like to have there. They are going to procure the permits, and they will give us they will prepare the construction documents. I would not even know how to explain that, because I think it's self-explanatory.
No, it is not self-explanatory. So the construction document, what construction are they going to be doing in the park? Have you sat with them, right? So when you put it out to bid, you outline what construction, what build out you want done, right? Construction means build, change, digging. So what is it that they're going to be doing over there?
They will be laying out the plans for what we want to do there.
Okay, so what is that? So
it's going to be a soccer field and a skateboard park.
Okay, so when you sat down for this design and development and construction, did you have community meetings?
Yes, we do.
No, I'm asking if you have community meetings for this particular project.
No, they should. Yes, we did. This was probably 2 years of community meetings in the North Ward with the East Trenton Collaborative, with IOS, with the community. 2 years of community meetings for this.
So the community approved. So can I see the plan for the soccer field and the construction? Can you send that too for Thursday?
Yes, absolutely. We can get the conceptual plans that the community came up with.
Okay. And who facilitated those meetings?
The East Trenton Collaborative and a team from IOS. And that was prior to my coming to work at the city, but I participated as a community member of those meetings.
So it's going to be a soccer field at the at Taylor. Preparation for Ashby Greenway Parks. So where at the Axel Park, where is the soccer field going to be? I mean, I'm trying to picture that.
It would be probably better if we go to the site.
Well, they gave you the design plans, right?
Photos on Thursday.
Okay. All right. So very good. So can you give me this information, please? I appreciate it. Thank you, Council President.
All righty. This could be roll called. We're on 130, right?
131, ma'am. This is
131. Yes.
21-131.
Yeah, so we'll have that roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-132, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Princeton Air Conditioning, Inc. for the removal and replacement of the HVAC system in the Mill Hill Playhouse corner and the corner of Front and Montgomery Street, Trenton, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $106,000 to bid 2021-4.
do have, can we roll call that, Council President?
Yes, 132 roll call.
Ms. Richardson?
Yes, Councilwoman.
Now I remember this issue for many years that the Mill Hill Playhouse didn't have air conditioning. And, so, so wasn't this recently replaced?
No, it hasn't been replaced in many, many years.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Do you want to add that to the consent agenda, or you want to roll call?
Oh, no. I want to roll call because I want to do some research on that, because I could have sworn that several years back it was, they did put an air conditioning system in there.
Okay, 21 days.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, Maria, could you explain to the councilwoman that there was a temporary setup in there for air? That's what you have, those hoses coming out the window?
Exactly.
We never replaced.
Yes, the city was trying to do all kind of steps before we decided to change the system. System is probably 30 years old, if not more. We try to do different things trying to avoid this huge expenditure. But as Councilwoman mentioned, it didn't work.
Okay.
So it's my understanding that they're getting ready to be able to eventually open, and the Screen Actors Union won't allow actors to go in there until that HVAC system is in place.
Absolutely. It's becoming a health issue.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, and having said that, thank you, Council Vice President Caldwell Wilson, for that. Having said that, so again, when is the start date and end date for this project, Maria? Ms. Richardson.
Maria, it's okay, Councilwoman. Basically, the way that the contracts work, Councilwoman, it's that once the council approves us getting into a contract with the company, then we issue that contract, and the contract will lay out the beginning and ending date.
Okay, well, I'm just making sure that this happens because, again, since I've been on the council, I have seen things are not getting done. Things are not getting done, but yet we're spending money and people are getting paid. If things were getting done, our city wouldn't look like this. So, thank you. So, can we roll call this, please?
Yes, roll call, Mr. Conlon, and we may continue to 133.
Yes, ma'am. This is from the Department of Public Works, Wade Montefiore, Director. This is Resolution 21-133, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to S. Patata Construction, Inc. for the reconstruction of Lamberton Street and Whitaker Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey, from April 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $1,133,962.80 through bid 2021-10.
Question on that. That's going to be for the whole Whitaker and for the whole Lamberton. Not just 2 blocks or 3 blocks, just the whole thing for both.
I can't hear you, Councilman.
Is it going to be for the whole thing?
He asked if it's from end to end for each street. Is it the whole street or is it just 3 or 4 blocks?
It is for the whole street.
The whole Whitaker and the whole Lamberton.
That's correct.
Okay.
So,
Councilwoman Vaughn, I just wanted to point out to you that in Wiley's resolution in the first whereas, you would definitely see work should be completed within 75 calendar days from the notice to proceed. I just want to point that out to you.
well, I'm glad that you did. And so we don't have to wait, Ms. Richardson, for the contract to get approved, for the contractor to give a plan and a start date and end date. Ms. Richardson, are you there?
No, this is,
Yeah, no, but I'm saying though, but Ms. Richardson has said, the administration, I would just say the administration and generally is saying that we cannot get a start date and end date from certain contracting companies because the contract, we won't get that until it's approved. And you just shared an example and pointed out that on public works projects, contractors always upon bidding for the contract, they provide when they can complete the work. Now, if Ms. Richardson or the administration should make clear, I don't know whether that's intentional or it's just an error or a lack of understanding of what my question is and what we expect. We need to.
I totally understand your question, Councilwoman, but as an attorney that I am too, I cannot tell you without having a contract and a resolution being approved by council that a vendor is going to begin a job the day after tomorrow. We will have to sit down. If you allow me to explain, you probably understand my answer. I am allowed to explain it?
Well, maybe Wally should sit down with you as a colleague to explain it to you, because I clearly what I'm not making myself clear. So, Mr. Amateri, I don't
want an answer, or do you want an answer, or you just want to pretend to put me in ridicule? Because if that is the case, I will not entertain that.
No. Clearly, you don't know what a project plan is. And you don't really know at what time it should be presented. Make that clear.
So how about if I sit down with you and you teach me?
No, I don't want to sit down with you.
Please,
I do not want to. If I want to, I would ask.
Pretty please.
But I'm just saying right now, Mr. Amateri, your colleague, should, I don't understand why. I don't understand why is that. Maybe Mr. Cruz can provide the council with some clarity. When we get contracts by any vendor in the city for any other departments, the contractor should put in when they can expect, even as an estimated timeline.
But we can only get a contract after council has approved a resolution. Otherwise, it would be illegal.
Legal. Okay. So, Mr. Bridges, is that true? What Ms. Richardson is saying? Because evidently it's not true, Ms. Richardson, because Mr. Amateri has Mr. Council President just is sharing with us a contract in Resolution 21-133 where the contractor, Batata Construction, has presented a plan. And they're in the same stage as your contractors are.
A plan is different than a contract, Councilwoman.
No, it's not.
My resolution, it's a resolution to enter in a contract.
Clearly, you do not understand.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman is speaking. Please, point of order by the chairman.
Order. I would like to solely pay attention or speak to Resolution 21-133. And this is under Mr. Onafree's Department of Public Works. So can we keep, Terry, so can we keep our comments to the Public Works Department Director, Mrs. Richardson, does not have anything to do with this resolution. So could we?
What, Council President, you're absolutely correct. But you're right, Ms. Richardson. What I'm trying to ascertain is consistency across the city and how the administration and the respective department heads and contracts that involve construction work. Okay? So, evidently, there is a break in the process. One director is managing his department differently than another director. One director is reporting that her contractors, while doing construction, cannot produce a timeline of when they're going to start the project and when they anticipate finishing. You pointed out, thank you very much, that Mr. Onateri, 21133, that construction company put forward when they're getting paid $1.1 million, and they saying that we're going to start and we're going to finish, and they even say what area. So the public works contractors are able to do that. So you mean to tell, so when a contractor who's going to build out a basketball court can't tell us when he's going to finish, or he or she, when they're going to finish and end? I mean, start and finish? It makes no sense.
So, Council President, if I may, Adam Cruz, Business Administrator.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, let Mr. Cruz chime in, and then we'll go to Councilman Blakely. Mr. Cruz, go right
Thank
ahead.
you. Thank you, Madam President. So I went back to the resolution that Maria put forth in front of council, and I'm looking at the three resolutions. All resolutions have a timeline in them. They all say 1-year contracts. Yes, it's true. And I do agree with Maria. I used to be a project manager back in Elizabeth. I was a construction inspector, and I also dealt with contracts for construction. You cannot have a timeline without having a notice to proceed. Once you have a notice to proceed presented to the vendor, to the contractor, then that's when you have a pre-construction meeting, and then you ask for timelines. But that cannot be produced until a contract is actually awarded. You're given an award notice because there is an award notice prior to a notice to proceed. So an award notice goes to the vendor. We ask for a meeting to have a meeting with the contractor, and then we ask for timelines. If this is the notice to proceed, you have 365 days to produce this. Can you now give me a timeline as to where we go from here? And that is actually how a contract is actually put in place. With Wally, the director of DPW, for the 75 days, the engineer has probably felt that there is a need for only 75 days for them to complete the work. Or they're doing is that they're coming, they're grinding the road, and then they're coming and they're putting a fresh coat of blacktop. When it comes to actually doing design and other parts and other things, there's a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration. So it's not as clear cut as coming and grinding and repatching. So that's what I have to say.
I have something.
Thank you. So, Councilman Blakely?
Yes. So I actually agree with Councilwoman Vaughn. I think this idea of having an estimate in the resolution from the notice to proceed is good practice, because it gives an idea to whoever is reading the ordinance to say, hey, we expect this to be done in 75 days. If it's 150 days from the anticipated notice to proceed, then there's some questions and we should be able to follow up with that. And her point is rather logical. If you can do it on this particular resolution, you should be able to do it with other resolutions where you are accepting a bid and awarding a contract. And so why was, and I guess that's the question that I have, if Wally is able to do this and is able to estimate in the actual resolution when this project is supposed to be completed, why can't the process to arrive at the time on this particular resolution be used in other departments in the city? Because I just think generally we should have an understanding, and there should be some idea, so that these projects, particularly when you're talking about, for example, projects in the War Department, that there's at least a timeline that we can anticipate when things are done. Because I think that there's an unfortunate reality that, or at least in a perception of a reality, that we approve projects that for whatever reason are never really completed, and out of sight, out of mind, we move on to additional projects. And then we look up, particularly in the Water Department, that we approve projects that sit on the shelf for years when we've already appropriated the funds. And so I guess my question is, if we can do it, as I mentioned, if we can do it in this particular resolution,
why can't we do it in other resolutions using the same process that we arrived at least for an estimate in this particular resolution?
Yeah, so, Madam President, may I?
Yes, you
respond?
may. Yes, you may.
All right,
Mr.
thank you, Madam President. So, Councilman, as I mentioned before, the resolutions actually do have a timeline. We are not hiding anything. I will be more than delighted to have directors provide to you timelines when contracts are awarded. Once contracts are awarded, an award notice is given to the vendor, a notice to proceed is then given. I'll be more than glad, and I am sure that the director will be more than glad to provide the council through the clerk's office an update when it comes to the timelines for benchmarks, like where they need to be in that 1 year period. If the contract is a 1 year period, we can provide that, and we can provide quarterly reports. It's not a problem. It is not a problem. So when we say, I'm sorry. So when we say, can we do the same thing with certain projects? Like I said, when they're clear cut, we're grinding and putting a new thing. We can do 75 days, absolutely. But other projects that may take a little bit more time, we can work with the contractor as well as the A&E to ensure that we provide the council with a timeline as soon as we are given, as soon as we give the contractor a notice to proceed.
So here's the thing. I think that that's a really good practice in terms of keeping us updated on the progress of particular projects. So I think that would be a good practice that, every month we get a update on all of the projects and process. But the same way you arrived on this particular, the timeline on this particular resolution, even if it is an overly generous estimate, I think generally it's good practice for us to have a timeline in the resolution so that it is a part of just the record clearly, so that folks can just see and say, hey, this project was supposed to take 7 months. It's now 2 years past. What is happening? So I just think that in terms of transparency, and rather than, wait for you all to give us updates, just to put it in the resolution in the same way that you did in Director Onatari's resolution, if you did that in general and just made it a very, even if it's an overly optimistic, because you already know, it's not like you have to wait for the bid to proceed. You don't have to wait. You already know in advance how long a particular project is going to go, just like you estimated on this particular resolution. So even if you were overly generous, it gives us an understanding and an outline so that we are able at least to follow along and not have to go through the bureaucratic nightmare of reaching out on every single ordinance to say, hey, where are we? It's just a simple timeline. Hey, it's going to take a year to do this. We're 2 years out. What exactly is happening? And it's just, I think, a real good opportunity for us to be transparent. And I'm happy to talk to the administration to see. But I think having this outlined is just a very good practice to have, and something that I appreciate Director Onatari doing this particular resolution. And I'd like to see it in other resolutions, particularly when we're talking about the expenditure of public funds, so that we're aware. And it also holds the contractor accountable, because it's right there in the ordinance or in the resolution that, hey, this is how much we're spending and this is the timeline that you all anticipate is going to get done. It really holds the contractor accountable. Thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you. So this particular resolution is roll call, council. No, this is a consent. Am I correct? No one.
Well, it hasn't been determined yet, ma'am. 21-133, nobody's called for a roll call yet, so.
Okay, so we'll do the consent agenda on this. On 21-133 can be a consent agenda, part of the consent agenda. And then we'll move forward with 21-134.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have 21-134, a resolution exercise. This is from the Department of Water and Sewer. Mark Lavenberg, Director. This is for Resolution 21-134, resolution exercising the option to extend the final 2 years of the contract awarded to Russell Reed Waste Hauling and Disposal Services Company, Inc. for daily removal and disposal of liquid sludge from the digester tanks at the CU utility from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2023, an amount not to exceed $1,160,432 per year through bid 2019-14.
If there's no questions for this particular resolution, we'll move it to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
The next resolution is this is 21.
Actually, ma'am, that is it for the resolutions. We have several ordinances for introduction tonight.
Okay, go right ahead.
First, we have ordinance 21-007, an ordinance amending ordinance 00-18 entitled an ordinance continuing certain positions, fixing salary ranges, therefore, and setting forth certain regulations for the implementation of these ranges for AFSCME local number 2286.
You know, the only question that I have with this particular ordinance is that I've seen several ordinance come before us for individual positions rather than to actually give these people a contract and go across the board making these changes. Back less than 9 months ago, we had another position that they wanted to add on. So what the administration is doing is that they're adding on positions one by one, and they're increasing salaries ordinance by ordinance versus giving these the union their basic contract and deal with all of these job titles and salaries at one time. And I think that because they're piecemealing this, it doesn't bode well for the union workers. I think that it should be all within their contract. And that's the issue that I have when they are piecemealing these jobs and these salaries versus giving the union a complete contract and address all of the salaries and the positions into that particular contract.
I have a question.
Go right ahead, Councilman Blakely.
Thank you. So the administration, I'm curious about where we are in terms of union negotiations as per the council president's comments. It seems like it's been a very long process to arrive at a conclusion to this particular round of contract negotiations. Can we get an update from the administration to let us know when we are going to be considered with an ordinance to ratify the contracts? I mean, our workers in the city are working incredibly hard under incredibly tough circumstances, and they deserve to be paid a living wage. They deserve to be paid, in proper amount due to their hard work. And, quite frankly, the holdup is not with this city council. The holdup is with the administration bringing something before us that we can vote on. And unfortunately, that hasn't happened in some time. So I would like to hear from the administration so that they can tell us when exactly we are going to be able to look over this contract. I'm going to support it because I, quite frankly, think that working people should be paid a living wage. And we all know that the salaries in this city are not sufficient for the people who work here. They're due a raise, and I'm hoping we can do that. But like I mentioned, the administration is holding us up. And so can you tell us where you are and when can we anticipate voting on not just one position, but all of the positions so everyone can get not only a raise, but also back. And that's something that I would like to do, sooner rather than later. Thank you.
So, Madam President, may I speak?
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Cruz.
Thank you, Madam President. So first, I'll discuss the ordinance in front of you. This is actually for creating one position. It is a position that does not currently exist in the salary range. It is not to increase, existing This position is actually based on a salary, on the salary scale that was done back in 2018. So it is actually for the position of a public work inspector, one inspector. And this is to assist DPW, Wally Anatiri and Mr. Hogarth, the city engineer, to assist them in going out and inspecting new sidewalks, trenches that are being cut by companies, and other sidewalk inspections, road openings, and that is just that one position. It is creating one position. As far as the contract negotiations, Councilman, we were successful in settling one and getting the final approval by DCA with the superior officers. We have come to an agreement with 2281, and we are awaiting approval from DCA for them to give us their final approval. And as far as 2286, I believe we are somewhat close to coming to an agreement. We've been having conversations with them, not just when we have contract negotiations, but we also have had other conversations with them along the way, and they do know that the city is working with them in good faith in getting a resolution as quickly as we can. I believe we are closer now than we were prior to the last meeting, and hopefully we will be coming to a conclusion pretty soon and go from there. But as of once we have come to an agreement of that the union is content with, we then have to send that to DCA for approval, and sometimes that's where it takes a little longer for them to do the final approval. It goes to the director, and then the director, I guess, takes a look at it and makes a determination. So that is where we are with 2281 as of right now.
Mr. Cruz, I would just like to put on the record that July will be 3 years, and we only have a year left to actually get these individuals a raise across the board. And I just believe that 3 years is an awfully long time, and I hope that this is not a political stunt where you wait till you're in the middle of an election to offer up a union raise that should have been obtained back in 2018. As I stated earlier, in July will be 3 years that these people have not had a raise, and I don't know about anyone else, but it's very hard to feed a family of 4 on $37,000. It's just unacceptable, and the administration needs to move as quickly as they possibly can to remedy this situation. Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes, go right ahead.
I am very concerned about this because I believe that it has been almost 2 years that the negotiations have been going on. And usually when these contracts are signed, they are retroactive. That means we have to go back 2 years or probably 3 at the rate it's going. And the way our finances are, the way we had problems with this last budget, we might not be able to come up with the money for that retroactive money because they are counting on, Mr. Cruz mentioned the day that you approved the cap to the budget, which I voted against it. The workers were under the impression that there was going to be extra money for their paychecks. But now that we have this situation with DCA, the zero tax increase, which I no, it's not going to be that way. It's going to be a tax. The taxes are going to go up, but then we might have to raise the taxes a lot more. And it's good that the superior officers got their contract. Oh, I saw it. I saw that. But they're making good money. They could wait. But the people that are making $20-some thousand a year, $30-some thousand a year, they cannot wait a minute longer. That's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Councilwoman Vaughn had asked to speak. I yield the floor to Councilwoman Vaughn.
Yes, this is the fact that the union employees, and I agree with Council President about the administration approach, that he has totally neglected the workforce of the city of Trenton in favor of his staff and friends and patronage jobs. And as far as he quickly, without uneventful, approved the PBA budget, the PBA, the police officers' budget, a collective bargaining agreement, settled their salaries in record time, I might add. When the DCA got approval, DCA had no issues there with the policemen's collective bargaining agreement. Same thing with the fire department. So year after year, one would have to start asking, why? What's the difference between the workers in the police department and the workers in the fire department and the workers of the city of Trenton? That's part of the Ask Me union. It's very concerning and it's unacceptable. And I don't buy DCA's excuses. Just because you say DCA, everybody's supposed to, stand up straight and say, oh, DCA needs to be audited and questioned. They have failed Trenton as a city. They have not governed this city for over 10 years, and they have left it to its own resources to fiscal failure. So I'm tired of the administration invoking DCA as an excuse as to why they got doing their job, why the mayor's not supporting its employees. It's a horrible excuse. And the council needs to see an ordinance, not just for one salary, not for the mayor's friend or relative. We need to see a ordinance for the settlement of the Ask Me collective bargaining agreement, period. And I don't know where I've heard, we're going to get the money from every time they kick the can down the road. We're going to get the money from the cap if the council approves the cap. No. We can't use that. We're going to get the money from, we got to change the calendar year, the budget fiscal year, from fiscal year to a calendar year in order to get upfront funds, in order to fund the Ask Me union's contract. Then I believe Mr. Cherry said, we can use the federal funds coming out of the Rescue Plan Act. This is just beyond, it's just disgraceful. And the Mayor Gus Ewart should be ashamed of himself. And the Ask Me union, I believe, they endorsed Mr. Gus Ewart. So next time, union members, don't endorse him. Don't support a mayor who feels as though that your vote and your support.
Point of order, speech, ma'am, and it's ordering on election.
Okay, so no, it's Ask Me. I'm talking about he favored the PBA contract because he wants the PBA vote. He wants the fire union's vote. But I guess he feels as though that he can take the AFSCME union for granted and kick his can down the road, as Council President said, come 2022, all of a sudden he wants to expedite the settlement of the contract just so that he can get the AFSCME union's vote. Well, I hope every 1,200 union members do not support Mayor Gussiora for mayor, because there's no way you should wait 3 years for your contract because the other unions have gotten their contract. Clearly, he respects them for whatever reason. I have my suspicions as to why. But if you got the PBA and its members settling their contract within weeks' time, and DCA are all in agreement, and the fire union, DCA, and the mayor, you gotta ask, why not the AFSCME? And we all know why. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Someone needs to mute themselves.
Yes. Thank you, Council Vice Chair. Someone definitely cannot interrupt the councilwoman when she's speaking. Please unmute yourselves.
I've taken care of it, ma'am. And just to for point of reference, Ms. Caldwell-Wilson would like to be recognized next.
Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson.
Thank you. So, Mr. Cruz. Mr. Cruz,
Yes,
are you there?
yes, Madam Vice President.
It's my understanding that DCA has a place at the bargaining table. Is that correct?
Yes, they have the monitor present during the conversations, yes.
So if they have a representative at that bargaining table, if you all can come to an agreement, they should be able to push DCA to approve that. So that there's no holdup. Because, Mr. Santiago is correct, because a lot of these contracts are going to have to be retroactive. And it's going to cost a lot of money. And by the time we approve this contract, they'll be going into contract negotiations again. So I would hope that when you set up to go into contract negotiations again, it doesn't drag out for 2 or 3 years, because it's very unfair. It's fiscally irresponsible. And, I would hope that you would have a conversation with this monitor to find out, once you settle this contract, that the DCA moves on it pronto.
Yes. So, Madam Vice President and Council, the position the DCA had prior to the budget not being approved was that because the budget was not being approved, they could not move forward with the approval of the contract for 2281. AFSCME 2281. Now the budget situation has been settled. We are hopeful that the next move from the director at DC at Local Government Services would be that they would approve the 2281 contract so that we can move forward with that. The PBA contract has not been settled. Just point of correction. PBA contract has not been settled.
I understand.
As far as the funding, Council Vice President, there was a budget line in the budget for $1.6 million for retroactive pay. So if you go back to the budget, you will see $1.6 million, and that was put aside for the purpose of payback for the contract.
So Mr. Cruz, the sad thing is that this union local, the city workers have gone through 2 budget cycles waiting for a raise.
And Councilwoman, I mean, you have been a representative of a union in your past career, and you know for sure that when you come to the negotiating table, it's not just about the money. There are other items included in there. So it's not just about give me a percentage. There are many requests from the union, and those have to be, they have to, we have to go through them by one. And, we get to a point where we then only have a couple of items on the table. that have to be discussed and agreed upon. And this is why I'm saying that we are at in a comfortable position now, because most of the language and other asking from the unions, and listen, I don't control the union. They are more than welcome to speak to any of you. And, at that point, they're not, the union representatives are not really city employees when they speak to council, so they can speak to you as president or vice president of the unions, and you can have those meetings with them. And I can guarantee you that they will not be saying anything than what I'm telling you today, that we are moving forward with the negotiations in good faith on both ends. And we are doing our best to settle as quickly as we are permitted based on the demands that have been made by the union. So it is not just about salaries, but it's also about other items that they ask for in the negotiation.
Yeah, and that's why I'm surprised it didn't go into arbitration. But I hope it moves faster now that we know that we have the budget taken care of, and that we start moving into the budget for the next go around. So
yes,
they don't have to wait.
Yes, and arbitration has not been an item of discussion when we've been having these conversations. I believe we are moving at a reasonable pace. We have people from the state ask me at the table, not state representatives from DCA, but ask me representatives at the state level in these negotiations as well. And we've been moving forward, and I believe that we are closer than we were before.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cruz.
Thank you.
$1,211,841 to pay for the cost thereof, which amount will be funded by a New Jersey Transportation Trust Fund grant received or expected to be received by the city from the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation.
Madam President?
Yeah, go right ahead, because I'm just perplexed about how this came out of the finance director's office. But go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
Yes. So is this going to be the whole of West State Street from Calhoun all the way up to, from Calhoun all the way up to, because I believe going downtown toward the State House, all the way up to Sanhican?
No. Prospect to Parkside. About 4 blocks.
That's it?
That's it. The repulse.
Okay. Mr. Cruz, is that correct?
I will have Mr. Anatiri speak about this, about the work that is being performed. This is actually with the New Jersey Department of Transportation that they're going to be providing the funding, but the city has to come up with the money first. And so this is how we bond the money, and then we get the refund from the state. So I would have Wally tell you specifically from what intersection to what intersection this work is being performed.
Mr. Anatiri?
Yes, Council President.
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. Yes, this is from Prospect. Remember last time we started working from Calhoun Street, and then we end on Prospect, and so we are moving from Prospect all the way to Parkside. This is the money that we have right now, because the state NJDOT is giving us this funding, and they're not going to give us just for one stretch. I want to take it all the way to Sanhican, but I have to do it in phases.
Okay, so when is Parkside to Sanhican will be done?
Well, that I still have to ask for funding. We don't have the money on hand right now.
Okay. Just want to make
President?
Go right ahead, Councilman Rodriguez.
That's only about 4 blocks, and it's a wide. This state is very wide, but I believe with that amount of money, we could finish it to the end. Sanhican. I believe so. That's a lot of money. I'm still speaking. Because also, since we are talking about the transportation fund, I believe about 2 years ago, we approved another resolution on an ordinance for Stuyvesant Avenue. What's the status on it? What happened? It's the same transportation fund. The one that I remember 3 years ago, the past public works director forgot to apply for that transportation fund, and we lost about over $1 million. But what's going on with that transportation fund? You know, how comes we are not getting that money? And why can't we complete the whole West State with, that's a lot of money there. That's talking about over $1 million. Those are not pennies. You know, we're talking millions, you know. Why not doing it all the way down? Why stages? Why? There's enough money there to finish it to the end, to San Hicken Drive. Yes. With over $1 million? Yes, that's more than enough. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is automatic, a roll call. And so, Mr. Collin.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the last ordinance?
Last one on the docket, ma'am. I do believe there's somebody who wants to walk something on.
All righty.
Yes, are we walking two on? What about 21-115? Did we already discuss that?
Yes, ma'am, on the docket.
Okay. And yes, and Mr. Rodriguez will be exchanged for 2 years, from 5 years to 2 years. Yes, I would like to move to, Council President, do I have the floor?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, I would like to move to walk on a resolution requiring.
Well, time out.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's an ordinance. I'm reading the wrong
I want to
one.
be clear, we're not actually introducing it tonight, right? Because I only got this yesterday, open for 48 hours. We can do it on Thursday. I'm not so sure we can do it tonight. It is no notice to the public. There's absolutely nothing. And this typically is not the meeting that we actually take official action in. So we can put it in the record. It's going to be walked on Thursday. That's clear. But are we actually voting on introduction tonight?
No.
Okay, that's all. I just want to make that clear. Thank you.
I can't
I'm going to
find.
put it up. I am going to put it up on the screen. And we can read it into the record as properly on Thursday. It can be read into the record by title only, but because of the short notice, it should be read into the record on Thursday in its entirety. So this is Ordinance 21-09, an ordinance amending Chapter 8316-2, Rules of Procedure of the Code of the City of Trenton. Floor is open.
Yes, this is an ordinance that is long overdue, that I and other members of the council believe should be addressed. It's the rules of procedure for the Trenton City Council. There are a couple provisions that we're proposing to be amended. One is the timing of the council meeting. We would like to change it from 5:30 to 6 p.m., from 5:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. We also want to change the frequency of our reorganization. We, in this council, right now, are operating under the fact that that the vice president and the president serves council for 4 years, the full term of our tenure, whereby we would like to potentially have a nomination for reorganization there to rotate the leadership in those two roles. We also would like to, I'm sorry, I got, wait a minute, the timing and
The councilwoman is actually muted.
She was not muted by me, so I don't know how she was muted.
She was just unmuted.
All right, got it. So, the other, items, did I say the time? We talked about, the reorganization. Also, I believe, we're suggesting that we have video live streaming. And a couple other items that I cannot verify on my screen right now.
President,
And I don't want to misspeak. Can either Councilman Rodriguez or Mr. Blakely assist me here?
absolutely. I have it right here. I can read off what the changes are. This is ordinance 2109. It's going to change the terms of the council president. It's going to state that a council president cannot succeed themselves. It is going to reform docket reviews by stating that any items removed from the agenda during docket review shall be relisted for the following council meeting. Then we're extending civic comment for council members to 20 minutes from the current 10 minutes. We're also changing, or we're proposing to change the order of business to the following order. It's going to be a roll call, the first order of business. The invocation and flag salute will be the second order of business. The public comments will be the third order of business. Then there will be an approval of minutes, communications, petitions, and reports, then followed by old business, new business, civic comments, and adjournment. And finally, we are proposing that the public can talk on any subject, both on conference meetings and voting sessions. And, I think these are all just reforms that the majority of the council, the council will have a right to vote on. And, we see where the chips fall. I wanted to actually just ask the law director a question. Wesley?
What'd you call me?
Wesley, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so just to be clear, you signed off on this, so it is legal. And I wanted to ask, are we following the proper procedure for walk-ons? I recall that we generally voted to walk things on to the docket so that, there's no, we have a meeting on Thursday and there's some clarity about if it's on the docket. Is it appropriate to actually vote to add this ordinance to the docket for consideration on Tuesday for first reading?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the Councilwoman Vaughn would like to
Yes.
move.
So I would like to move to
Before you do that, Councilwoman, there are two errors of spelling in this ordinance. I sent those edits to Mr. Conlon. Mr. Conlon, can you just review what those edits were before we vote to add this to the docket? Mr. Conlon?
Yes, sir. So it shows in the first page of the document, it says, in this section that I'm highlighting, it says after to the above, the word to was removed. So it should read after the above referenced and go from there. The second edit was a typographical error here where council is spelled as the legal counsel instead of the city council, and that was changed to council. And those are typographical edits. They were emailed. I was going to ask for the amendment before the vote. So we do have those, this will be as amended with your permission as well.
Yes.
Madam President,
Proceed to amend.
Introduce, can I say something that was missing?
Well, this actually won't be the introduction. This is just to add it to the docket. So this is a motion to walk it on.
No, but I want to say, add something that is there that wasn't, that Mr. Blakely didn't mention it. We had a referendum, and that referendum was decided that elections are going to be, the term of council are going to be staggered, so we're going to have elections every 2 years.
Oh, it's in here. It's in here, Councilman. It's in here.
It's in there, but you didn't mention it for the public.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it says
I'm
here.
good to go now. I'm good to go.
Okay, just to be clear, the ordinance also states that following the passage of this ordinance, subsequent council reorganization meetings shall occur on the January succeeding each November election. The elected city council president cannot succeed their term as presiding officer. The terms for city council, for council president and vice president, following the adoption of this ordinance shall end on January 1st of the applicable term year. So it's in here. Thank you.
Can I actually, as the election official, the chief election official in the municipality, council president, can I be heard?
Yes, go right ahead.
The only problem I have with that is it actually should spell out what type of election, because the November election, every year there's a November election, and that would trigger it every year. So it should be the biannual municipal election. And I'd like to propose that this way, because the way it's written now, it actually says every November it triggers it.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Add a municipal election.
So the biannual municipal election, is that acceptable, Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, it is. Okay. So I will move to introduce this ordinance.
Are you moving to introduce it, or are you moving to add it to the docket for consideration on Thursday?
To add it to the docket.
Okay. So I have a motion by by Councilwoman Vaughn to add this to the docket on Thursday. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a second by Mr. Rodriguez. I will call the roll for this. Just let me take my notes, please. And I'm just going to say that the motion is to add 2109 to the Thursday docket for consideration as amended at this meeting on the floor, with the two amendments mentioned by Mr. Blakely, and noting that the actual election, the November election, will be changed to the municipal election for the city of Trenton. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And I have a motion by Ms. Vaughn. I have a second by Mr. Rodriguez, and I'll call the roll. Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
No.
Mr. Harrison.
No.
Mr. Michelle.
No.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
No.
Motion fails. It will not be added to the docket. It will not be heard at this meeting. We now move to the remainder of the agenda. This is public comments on docket items only. Council President, would you like to open the floor?
Yes.
Please do not interrupt until such time as we are ready for you to be acknowledged. That being said, Council President, you'd like to open up the floor?
Yes, for public comment, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a portion where you get 10 minutes, and at this point in time, it is still limited to docket items only. If you wish to speak on any other comment, you are more than welcome to join us on Thursday for that council meeting. If you would like to be heard with regard to docket items only, I have someone identified as 2401-304-181. Council President, would you like to identify that person?
Yes, please.
Ms. With the party identified, identify their name, and also
There's a lot of talking going on, and I don't know if it's coming from the party that wants to be recognized or not.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
it's not. It's not coming from me, and I'm the one. But I'll wait.
Yeah, well, you go ahead because you're being recognized.
And please identify, and I think I know who you are, but please identify yourself for the record, please.
I didn't know it was that recognizable. But hi, first of all, I'd like to say hello and thank people for being here at this meeting.
I need your name for the record, ma'am.
Sure. My name is Ms. Chowdhury, Aparna Chowdhury. I'm a business owner, and I am a former resident of Trenton. I still have business there. I don't know if this would be the appropriate place to make a comment like this, but I just wanted to second Ms. Vaughn's both her passion and her intention about increasing the accountability of what's happening with the finances around Trenton. Every time I attend these meetings, I am really surprised and taken aback by the amounts of monies that are moving around Trenton, and I still see so little change. I also think that there should be increased public comment, so I thank Mr. Blakely for introducing that, because I think there needs to be more public discourse. I think there needs to be more public inclusion. I understand that, council meetings and things like that are listed in certain places, but I don't think that they're all that accessible. And I think that including more public comment will make these discussions a lot more fruitful and, more importantly, beneficial for those who reside in Trenton or who have businesses in Trenton, who struggle for basic things like safety and, potholes off the roads, better lighting for our businesses and for everybody else that, we serve in the area.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chowdhury. Next, any other parties wish to be recognized for the public portion of tonight's conference session for docket item? Phone who is muted, please, you can unmute yourself by dialing *6. We have Ms. Sherry Garrett, Council President.
Go right ahead, Ms. Garrett.
Ms. Garrett, please unmute yourself and be recognized by the council.
Yes, thank you very much, Council President. Yes, my sentiments to the caller who just spoke about the funds, public money that's been, taken out of Trenton. You said it better than I could say it. I have some issues about the communication and petitions. I looked at that and I've reviewed this agenda, and I see there's like 20 tax appeals. There's a couple of tort claims. There's again, people are complaining about their taxes and being able to either afford to live here or maintain a business here. And again, we still, it's the complaint every city council meeting, and even during the budget, that budget again was too fat. I think the money that was went to certain areas within the budget could have went into the salaries or the cost of living for some of most of our employees, and the money that goes out to these private contractors could have also funded our employees, city employees. And again, we're not taking into account, taxes is going to increase, but if we got 20 appeals and we've had some in prior set up on the prior agendas, this is going to be a problem. I mean, this is a problem. It's not going to be a problem. It is a problem. And I think, we're going to see a lot of people really, if you really coming out to city council and to the tax assessor's office complaining about the taxes, and we're not seeing the benefits of our money. Let's see. Not to hold up anymore. I did send an email to each one of the council persons about the K-9, but after I looked at the resolutions, you can ignore it. I think you covered your tracks on that. In regards to the 21-123, I think we shouldn't have it exceed 3 years, but if it's going to cost us that much money to retain a new, for someone to maintain our payroll and human resource systems, I guess so. I guess it would have to be 3 years, but I hope we're getting the services for the amount of money that they're charging. In regards to a lot of this stuff again needs to be looked at, because again we're voting on more money to be spent out, and again the information is not there to make sure it's spent on what what the resolution is stating is supposed to be spent on. In regards to Resolution 21009, how dare you? How dare you? 21009 should have been discussed with the public because, again, the council meetings, anything that goes on in the city should be, it should have been discussed with the public. It should have been some meetings to decide if we all agree. How dare you? How dare you? You cannot cut the council president off by the knees. This is the way government, I'm not saying there shouldn't be any changes, but a lot of those changes is to really, this rotating thing, and then how dare you, Mr. Blakely, call Mr. Bridges by his first name, but you want to make changes that only benefit you. How dare you? How dare you? Let's get it together. I don't agree. I didn't agree with it. And I'm pretty sure other people will not agree with it. Again, how dare you? I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Collins, next person.
Yes, does anybody else wish to be heard by the Trenton City Council? This is for docket items only.
I see someone, Mr. Bridges, did you have your hand up? Okay.
Absolutely not.
And I'm sorry, ma'am, you can only speak once during docket review, so I'm going to have to defer to the next person. Lydia Thornton, ma'am.
Yes, go right ahead, Ms. Thornton.
Hi, my name is Lydia Thornton, 1219 West State Street. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to comment because two agenda items, docket items are back to back. They kind of jump out at you, and that's 21-130 and then 21-079. 21-130 is spending $14,000 to help our at-risk youth, our homeless youth, which I think everybody on this call knows there is a problem in the city with that. Whereas 079 is spending $446,000 to renovate basketball courts. Now, I don't disagree that we need the parks and the courts and all that. And those will help the youth do some other things and have things to do. But the disparity in those two numbers seems off to me. That we're going to put $14,000 towards helping homeless youth. And I know it's probably a grant thing and it's extending a contract for a whole year. So that's basically $1,000 a month. I don't know about any of you. I've been homeless. And more than one person, many youth, $1,000 a month isn't anything. It's not even throwing food at these young people who are struggling in our city. And what's sad about it is because of COVID and because we've been virtually schooling for a year now, we don't even know how many of them there really are. And so something about that jumped out at me. Yes, do the basketball courts. Yes, improve our parks. I think that number's high. And I'm not sure from the explanation given, and I can't wait to hear more on Thursday, that we've really done a good job of drilling into that number and getting a clear understanding of that $400,000+. But I really want us as adults who have a roof over their head tonight to look at that $14,000 number and see what else we're doing and what else we should do. Thank you so much for hearing me.
Thank you. Mr. Conlon.
Yes, Council President. Does anybody else wish to be recognized by the Trenton City Council?
Yes, Mary Horn.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Horn.
Yes, just like to say, and just be brief with this, and going down Ford of the road. Some things are, I don't think it should be taken personal. I think it would be is something to be looked at going forward when other council members are voted in and the change is made. Who's to say the change is going to go right now? That's not what the focus should be on. The change is being made right now. I think it has to be going forward before they even make any changes. But this is looking down the road and making sure that others who are voted to council, that this is understood. So having said that, I don't think any of this should be taken personally. So I just need to say that. And number two, there are some people that some council members already stated they're not even running for the next. So their say would be as a citizen if they care to speak at that time. Okay, I'm not pushing against anybody. I'm just saying something at this issue because it has to be taken into consideration for when other city council members are voted in different positions. Not to say that this is going to happen right now and to be personal with just, certain people. So, and number two, I may be off base with this, but this is for housing and economics. Please send me my denial letter so I can have that because of being denied of getting of the $5,000 grant because of a roof that hasn't caved in yet and put a storm in my home and caused a flood in my home. Okay? There are circumstances where the roof is in disarray and disrepair. So, because the water hasn't came through my ceiling and crashed through my ceiling and caused a flood all through my house, then I've been denied. So, having said that, please, this is for the Director of Housing and Economics. Please, and Farrah G., send me my denial letter so I can move on for this. Thank you very much. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Ms. Horn.
Thank you.
Next, anybody, Council President, you have Mr. Dan Fatton.
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Fat.
Thank you, Council. And I wanted to speak to, I forget the ordinance number, but it's about the paving of State Street. And on the one hand, I completely agree with Councilman Rodriguez that the costs seem astronomical. But I just wanted to encourage Council that actually the Department of Transportation and Rutgers University did a study in 2019 about average costs per mile of various types of roadway projects. It's listed on the Rutgers website. It's a quick Google. DOT, approximate cost per, and it's broken down by geography. So whether in the north, central, south parts of the state, it's broken down by the type of municipality. If you're an urban setting, a rural setting, etc. And I just want to point out that on page 30, there's a helpful chart that shows you the costs for various types of projects in various types of settings. And for an urban municipality like Trenton, just for resurfacing a roadway, 1 mile, just a mile of project would be approximately $500,000 to $800,000. And those are in 2014 dollars. So it's much higher now. And I just think, on the one hand, I agree. The sound of these numbers is astronomical, but let's base our decisions here on facts. And there is actual data from the Department of Transportation publicly available. And so while we wish that we could pave the whole street with $1 million, the reality is that you're looking at $500,000 to $800,000 per mile for resurfacing 6 years ago. So it's higher now. And, frankly, I think our money would be better spent on creating crosswalks, creating bike lanes. Doing bike and walk infrastructure is the cheapest, best transportation investment. But we also need to repave when there's potholes. And I know West State Street has been a mess. So if we're going to do it, and we have funding from the Department of Transportation, let's make informed decisions based on reality. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Conlon.
Thank you, Mr. Fatton. Next person, anybody else wish to be heard by the Trenton City Council? This is for docket items only for the April 13th, 2021 Council Conference Session.
Yes. If, I would make a motion to close public comment.
I have a motion by Council President McBride to close public portion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor?
Mr. Conlon, is Director still on the line?
Director Coley, are you present, ma'am?
Yes, sir, I am.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, she is.
Director, would you like to take this time to talk about the Real-Time Crime Center? Would you like to share some of that information with the public? Or you could pick another date to come and explain it, but I didn't know if you wanted to share anything with the public about that. But if you would like to, I would give you the floor.
Sure, I can talk about that. We've been talking about the Real-Time Crime Center and the fact that it was coming to Trenton since probably early last year. We had several dates that it was supposed to be installed, and the dates would come and they would go. So I'm happy to tell the all of Trenton that the Real-Time Crime Center is here. It is up. The council had an opportunity to do a tour of it last week to see all the capabilities. I believe that this is going to be a tremendous tool in us fighting crime and the actual reduction of crime. We're going to have several resources that are going to be available to us that have never been available to us in Trenton before. So I am excited of the fact that it is here. I'm excited about the fact that we will be in the same room with all of our partners at the county level, at the state level. State police was heavily represented during the tour. And I think that this is going to be a step definitely in the right direction and bringing Trenton and the Trenton Police Department into the 21st century. You hear me talk a lot about 21st century policing and the fact that we have never been eligible for 21st century policing grants because we had never improved upon technology. I am hoping that since we spearheaded this project, that this will be the first flag that has been planted and has now opened the door for us for future federal grants in terms of 21st century policing. This is a step in the right direction. It is a huge step in the right direction, but this is not the end of the journey. We still have some technology that we will be hopefully finding the funding for or given the funding for in terms of installing a completely different camera system. Although we had a shooting this morning and within minutes at the Real-Time Crime Center, we had all the information at hand. We knew who, we knew where, and not to give away the investigation itself, but we will be bringing that to a resolution very soon, I believe, based on the information that we were able to gather in minutes. And that was minutes compared to in the past, it would have taken us days, if not weeks, to be able to gather the same information. So today was the first time that we actually got to see it in action in Trenton. I'm very familiar with the system, and I was happy to see the excitement of my officers and how the information worked for them. And if it's working for the Trenton Police Department, it will be working for all Trentonians. So we are excited. It is here, and we will have the official grant opening next month. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Dr. Lopez, could you speak to the immunizations and the vaccines and what it's going to look like after the federal department pulled the Johnson & Johnson vaccine? Can you speak to that this evening, Dr. Lopez?
Yes, Council President. The J&J vaccine was halted. It's not stopped. We're still holding on to our supplies. All municipalities are. What they're doing is they're checking to see if the 6 rare cases of blood clots are contributory from the vaccination of J&J. And so they want to see if there are any missteps. They're trying to see if there's any underlying medical from other residents who were vaccinated may have contributed to that. Also, when you look at the individuals who have the rare blood clots, they're females, some of them are pregnant, and they're the ages of 18 to 48. So with that background, we are looking at the approximately 3,000 residents that we vaccinated to go back and check to see who fit those demographics and reach out to them. The 109 residents that we vaccinated in our homebound initiative yesterday, we have reached out to them as well, and they're doing quite well. However, the onset that they're talking about between the days of 7 to 15 days of the development of blood clots or any other severe symptoms. So we had to go back to the individuals that we vaccinated 2 to 3 weeks ago. And those individuals that we have started reaching out to have not developed any severe symptoms as of yet, the ones we have reached out to. Those who have, we suggest they do seek medical attention, but we also want to know what those symptoms are so we can keep track as we meet with the State Department of Health. Moving forward, what we are doing is evaluating alternative vaccinations, such as the Moderna, to see if we can receive an increase in that. We do still have Moderna Clinic, but that's only of 235 vaccines a week that we receive from the county. So we're hoping that that does increase so it can support our J&J vaccination clinics that we were having. So that way we can continuously vaccinate our residents, and continue with our homebound efforts. And so even though we know we want to do the J&J, the one-shot vaccination for our homebound, we are willing and capable to utilizing the Moderna, the 2-dose, to vaccinate our homebound. We had quite a few that were on our list that are waiting to be vaccinated. They were extremely happy and pleased for someone to come out to them. And it actually gave us much joy to actually go out and visit the residents and just to see how they're doing and just listen to them. It really was a great pleasure to do that. And so I am looking forward for my team and I to continue doing that and moving forward in the community, even if that is with Moderna. So whatever additional dosages that we do receive, the allocations from the county and the state, we are going to utilize some of that for our homebound efforts. So it's not going to be a program that we're stopping. It's just a brief moment in halting, reevaluating, and looking at alternative vaccines that we can utilize to move forward and deploy our vaccination efforts within the community. But we're never going to stop the vaccination. J&J was just an additional vaccine that we use, but we do still have Moderna, and we will continuously use that and continuously request for additional allocations to move forward to vaccinate our residents.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
So I had wanted the doctor and the police director to speak on the current events, and now we can move straight into the civic comment. And Mr. Blakely, you may start.
Wheeler?
Councilman Blakely?
Please do not interrupt the council. I appreciate the joke, but this isn't a serious meeting. Thank you.
Well, we'll move on to Councilwoman Caldwell Wilson.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody, and I want to thank everybody for coming to the meeting tonight. I just wanted to clear up something regarding the ordinance on the rules of procedures that Ms. Vaughn proposed and Mr. Blakely and Mr. Santiago. The additional time for comment was for civic comments for the council people, not for the public. So I just wanted to clarify that. I also want to thank the director for the tour of the crime center. I was very impressed, and I'm really happy for our police department that we have this extra assistance, and I'm looking forward to us drastically reducing the crime in the city. And I also want to thank our health director and her staff for all the great work they've been doing with these vaccines and the testing. We really do appreciate you. And I want to thank the directors for coming tonight and for Mr. Cruz. That's all I have to say. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Harrison?
Not at this time.
All right. Councilman Michelle?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Councilman Rodriguez?
Well, I have a couple of things that I have to talk about. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Patton, but I believe his numbers are wrong. I don't know if he knows how far it is from Prospect to Parkside. I used to run 2 miles, and that is probably less than a mile, if I'm not mistaken. And if a mile is $500,000, let's say that it went up to $600,000, the 1.2 million is still a lot of money for that stretch of probably less than a mile. That's that's the distance between Prospect and Parkside. I still insist that we should cover the whole thing. Then about Mr. Cruz, he made a comment saying that moving reasonable pace on contract negotiations. I think, if I'm not mistaken, when we took over 2.5 years ago, they were already in the process of contract negotiations. And I was a union official also. I dealt with contracts, and 3 months past the due date of the contract, that was too much. We'll go on strike for that. To go on strike, the steel workers and CWA. I dealt with those contracts. So that reasonable pace, I have to laugh about it. I wanted to ask Director Colley about the radio room. We have the RFP for the new contract. What's going on with that? Because I believe that the contract is going to be over sometime in June or July. Director, do you have an answer for that?
Yes, sir. We had the independent consultant come in, as you know. The consultant did a very extensive report. The report was ready in January, and it outlines the cost of the new radio system. And I am waiting for funding for the system. And as far as the current contract expiring in June, that is true. But if we don't have someone in place, we can always extend that contract. Either way, we cannot be left without service because of the we are essential workers. So that would have to be something that we would have to work out with the law department as well as the vendor.
Director, first it was Councilwoman Bond that brought the issue of the radio room. Then I got involved with it. And we're talking about over 2 years ago. Over 2 years ago.
No, actually, sir, you're talking about.
Excuse me, let me finish my you answered my question, but I wasn't satisfied with it. The thing is that that has been a very slow process, and coming June, me, Councilman Santiago Rodriguez, will be voting no to extending that contract to that company, MPS or whatever name it is. I will, because the report, I read it, he ripped off, he sold us cheap equipment, knowing that that it wasn't going to be working since day one. About 2.5 years ago, I heard the issue of the radio room. I said, for the equipment, cheap equipment, modern stuff, but for that type of communications, we don't need modern stuff. We need reliable stuff. reliable equipment, and that equipment that it was in the report, it was cheap equipment, and he ripped the city off. I wonder when are we going to take him to court so that he could return some of that money that we reaped out of our taxpayers. That's my thing. And if it comes, we have to do something between now and June, because I am intending to vote no. And I tell you, I will be voting and I will be campaigning against having that same people extending his time here. He's not worth it. He should go to jail. I had a situation between yesterday afternoon and today until 5:15. There was a situation at 234 Senate Street in Trenton. There was a family living there. The landlord supposed to provide gas, but something happened that PSE&G went and shut off the gas and even took the meter away. So I just found out yesterday that happened almost a month ago, and I was trying to see if we could solve the situation. But the inspections got involved, and they are condemning the place. When I asked what's going to happen to there is about 12 people living in those two apartments there, 5 children. What's going to happen with them? Oh, we're going to try to place them probably at the Sleepy Hollow Motel or one of these cheap motels. I said, but we are condemning the property without a plan of what are we going to do with those families. This is not the first time. The mayor was very nasty to me when I called him. He referred me to a supervisor on inspection and to a social worker, which in the past I had the same situation. Council president knows about that young lady and her son that became homeless because the city decided to condemn the building. They were placed for 2 days and that was it. The lady is still probably homeless. And we have to do something about that. We cannot allow these slum lords from Lakewood to be ripping our people off. The contract that he had, the funny list that he wrote for those families says that gas is included in their rent of $1,800 rent, and gas is included because he illegally converted what used to be a storefront or something into 2 apartments illegally. Inspections claimed that they were looking after him, but how come they didn't go there before that if the inspectors knew that was illegal work was done there? I am not very happy about that. We have to inspect those slum landlords that are ripping our residents, especially the undocumented ones that have no rights, that have no legal recourse. They have to move to a dilapidated home with the promise of, I will fix it up later. But once they move in, forget it. All they get is a P.O. box to send their checks every month. Nobody shows up. And if they complain to inspections, well, either they get evicted or somebody calls ICE on them, immigration. Those landlords do it. And, it is, I tell you, I cannot believe that we are allowing that to happen to our residents in Trenton. And I was very, very, very surprised at the mayor cursing at me using language that, like he used with Robin Vaughn that day of the call. He started that confrontation with Councilwoman Robin Vaughn. I was listening to the conversation for about 2 minutes. He was chastising her, making fun of her, calling her, saying that she needed a lobotomy. He started that confrontation. I did not confront the mayor because I have respect for his position, not for his person, but for his position. But he disrespected me, and I request an apology. He told me, "Oh, you are doing nothing for the residents. Mr. Mayor, you are not allowing me to do anything for the residents when you oppose most of the stuff that we put out. Start doing your job, Mayor. Start doing your job. And shame of yourself. And I demand an apology from you. Thank you."
Thank you. Councilman, I just have to ask, what, I don't know, I don't understand what happened.
234 March, I call March about it. 234 Center Street is an illegal. They converted that to 2 apartments illegally. But that was the landlord's fault, not the residents. So now they are, I believe that somebody was calling from City Hall to try to place them, 12 people, place them in 3 rooms in some motel. I don't know because they didn't give me the details. It was a Mr. De Jesus that called him. And, but why don't we go after the landlord? All that is missing there, well, it's not in such a good shape, but all is missing is the gas. All they needed was electric stove, so they could stay there for a few more days until the city forces that landlord to repair, to connect that gas service. You know that, but we are blaming those children. We are blaming them. We are placing them in a lousy motel because that's where we place people from the city, in lousy Sleepy Hollow. Wow, and one on New York Avenue. Jesus. And a bunch of children and adults in 3 rooms. That we created that homelessness. We created it. It wasn't them. They had their rent is up to date. The one that failed was the landlord. He has something happened between the landlord and PSCNG, and they went there and shut off and even took the meter away. There was arrangements were made by a person that's trying to help them, so they could go Thursday to see if they could reinstall it. But it's useless now because our city condemned the building, and the residents have to find a place to go. You know, it's very unfair, and I was very upset when the mayor told me, "Oh, you are not doing anything," and he cursed at me. Remember it? I remember it, Mr. Mayor. You know, I am 70 years old. I have always respected you, Mr. Mayor. I have never started an argument with you. We have differences, a lot of differences, but I have always answered to you first, politely. I respect, like I said before, I respect your position, but I have no respect for you as a person. That's what happened, Ms. McBride.
Thank you. I'll be in touch with you.
Madam President, if I may respond to the comment about the 3 families.
I don't want a response from you. No, we won't talk about that.
This is city comments.
We'll try to meet tomorrow to see what we could do to get those families into a house, a city-owned property. So I'll reserve the comments tonight, and we'll try to work on that diligently to make sure that those families are placed in a proper setting. Councilwoman Vaughn.
Yes, thank you, Council President. So I, of course, I concur with Santiago, Councilman Rodriguez, and I appreciate all his efforts that he that he put forth today. We were in court today, and he had, I sent him the call-in number to the court because we were in court defending the council ordinance to have an attorney to represent the council. So I contacted Santiago Rodriguez and I asked him to join, and he was like, Councilwoman Vaughn, I can't join because I'm helping the residents out with their situation. So he said, you keep me posted. So if the mayor is accusing of Santiago Rodriguez of not helping out, Santiago, Councilman Rodriguez was very gracious and said, Ms. Vaughn, I cannot attend that conference call because I have to help these people. So we're appreciative of that because Santiago's efforts today represents the whole council. And the council is there to help the people. We represent them. They put us here in office, and that's the work that we should be doing. So, and collaboration with the mayor. The law says that the mayor is supposed to enforce all ordinances of the municipality. And to that end, I had a meeting with...
How about you?
I joined another conference call early in the week with the Economic Development Department to discuss their plan for the CDBG grant money. And this is a situation where the mayor could have resolved very quickly. There's funding for situations like this, emergency funding. And I would certainly like to hear, is Farah G on the line or the Economic Development Director, what are they doing in this instance? Did the mayor include them in the situation? And did they respond promptly in an emergent fashion? Because that's what the emergency funds are for these type of circumstances. So, so the council president and should at this juncture should not even have to do anything. We've approved this type of funding for the residents. The federal government has sent the funding into our city, and it appears that our Economic Development Department, the CDBG grant funding, the emergency funds, are not being distributed properly and expeditiously in emergent situation. So I want to know where the home grants are going and the ESG grants are going. And this is a situation where Farah G and and Ben Delisle needs to engage and get out there and help these people promptly. And the mayor should mandate that they do so. And if he didn't, then shame on the mayor. And this is an example of what a lot of folks in the city has been talking about when it comes to the lack of performance of our mayor and helping the city. I just wanted to speak about the real-time crime center and the technology that's coming to our city around policing. And in light of today's events around our country and the death of Dante Wright, I am very disappointed again with our mayor and our state representatives, the attorney general, the prosecutor. I remember early in the year, the council president introduced last year resolution for police reform. And I haven't heard any discussion about that resolution and any discussion about what projects or initiatives that the city should be initiating to progress these reforms in our police department. We did have an incident where our police, a few of our police officers are being accused of lethal force, applying lethal force to one of our citizens, right? So, so when folks introduce resolutions, they should follow through with them. And it should not be just for political theater. These are serious concerns. We were talking about police brutality and use of lethal force. We see it in our country. We see it across our country, across our state. We see it in our own city. And we need to do, both the mayor and this council need to be more vocal about it and put policies in place that will affect the change that we need in that space. So the other thing that I wanted to say about the Real-Time Crime Center, we're getting the technology, and we appreciate all that the police director has done thus far for this city in her short tenure. She has received a lot of criticism over her 2 years here, but she has continued to move the needle, and she has brought technology that has been long overdue in the city of Trenton. Long overdue to the extent that prior mayors and prior police directors in her same position was not able to do. So congratulations, Ms. Coley. We appreciate you, and I was very impressed with the Real-Time Crime Center and its capabilities and all its potential. Of course, it's a giant step. It's not the only thing, and of course, we all know we need to do more, particularly in when we talk about community policing and technology is not the end all and be all. It's not going to solve everything, but it's certainly a big giant step toward making our city a safer and more secure. And I just want to say quickly, because there's always a lot to talk about, but speaking of the Real-Time Crime Center, and the cameras and the surveillance and the monitoring capabilities of our streets, we have the illegal dumping. And I'm just curious about the cameras. So why aren't the cameras in the alleyways of these prime dumping spots are not working? What's the use of putting cameras in the alleyways and they're not functioning? So, Ms. Coley, can you speak on that issue as to when we're going to get functioning cameras in these alleyways? So, is it the Public Works Department? Should we be talking to Mr. Onateri? Mr. Onateri and/or the Police Director Coley, can you both speak on these cameras that are in the alleyways that are supposed to be surveilling these bad actors that illegally dump in our city, and at these various spots? Why aren't the cameras operating as we would expect them to be? Who owns them? Is it the Public Works Department? Is it the Police Department? Business Administrator, Mr. Cruz, can you share, please?
Councilwoman.
Okay. Who owns those cameras?
Council President, can I speak?
Go ahead, Mr. Cruz.
Thank you. I believe Ms. Coley was beginning to speak when you called my name. So Director Coley, if you can proceed.
I was just keep muting me. I apologize.
Sure. The cameras are owned by the city. They are installed by the police department. We installed them based on requests from DPW. In terms of the cameras not working, that is part of the fault that was in my assessment early on with the camera system that we are currently using. I don't want to say that the cameras are not working, because most of the time they are working, but if they go offline because of the service that we use, we don't have any way of knowing that until we go to that particular camera. So we do periodically try and do an assessment as to what is working and what is not, and what's online and what is not, and to try to make those adjustments. Some of our cameras that we have been monitored have been moved over to the Real-Time Crime Center. So I am hopeful that will free up manpower to now monitor the cameras that are put in place for illegal dumping only, to be monitored a lot more frequently.
Okay. So we look forward to hear more about that, okay, about the cameras that are in the alleyways. So quick question. Are all the alleyways are all the alleyways in the city of Trenton now equipped with cameras?
No, they are not. Trenton, what's unique to Trenton is that the alleyways are actually used as roadways. So that's something different than compared to most other cities. But every alley in the city is not outfitted with cameras. We outfit them as we become aware of illegal dumping or by request. Councilwoman Vaughn, you made a request for a particular alley, and Councilman Harrison has sent us in requests as well. So we are working closely with the unit that monitors illegal dumping as to where cameras should go. And some of the requests that were made to us, there were already cameras installed there. So we didn't duplicate that effort. We just ensured that the cameras that were there are actually online. So the other thing that I just want to mention is that we do have a flyer that we put out to every member of the Trenton Police Department regarding illegal dumping, and not to just give a summons for the local city ordinance, but to start issuing the summons with the federal statute so that it carries a heavier penalty. So that was issued to all of our officers yesterday. From the legal department, we are to notify Julie Murray whenever we issue a summons so that she can start pursuing proceedings against the person on behalf of the city to recover and clean up.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm gonna keep this this technology and the surveillance of the alleyways that are targeted, frequently by illegal dumpers to ensure that we do have proper surveillance and functioning surveillance in those areas to hopefully get some real outcomes and really obliterate this from our municipality. Thanks, Police Director Coley, and Council President. I have no more at this time. Thanks.
Thank you. I would just like to take this time to thank each and every one of you for coming on tonight. Your opinion matters, and the council is always grateful to hear from you. I wanted to actually thank Councilman Mushal, and because we were talking about our tour at the Real-Time Crime Center, and so when we got there, they had on the screen the shot spotters. I knew nothing about a shot spotter until Councilman Mushal introduced it to the previous council that I sat on in 2014, and he tried to get the city to invest in shot spotters. They purchased one, but Friday, when we got over to the crime center, they had showed us the screen where they had purchased two more. And I remember back in 2014, everyone was saying that the shot spotters weren't any good. They couldn't cover enough ground. But now they added two more, and they cover, I think they said something like 90% of the city of Trenton. And I only found out about a shot spotter through Councilman Mushal. And the other piece that Councilman Mushal had been doing to go along with what they're doing at the Real-Time Crime Center is lighting. He has been taking his time, making sure that if any resident calls him, that he would make sure he goes into that area and try to get PSE&G out to put the lighting up that we need. And I'm telling you, lighting is everything. I live in front of a park where it was pitch black. And Councilman Mushal got PSE&G out here. He got PSE&G out on the boulevard in some other parts of the city, but he did a whole section of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, which was very important to the residents over there because you couldn't even see in that stretch over there. So the crime center, the lights, the shot spotters, all of that works hand in hand, and I appreciate the councilman for that. I'd like to thank all of my colleagues for doing their job. You don't get thanked enough for the work that you do. Being a public servant, you're not going to get the recognition that you think you should, or that you feel as though you should. But I just want to say to each and every one of you this evening that I appreciate the work that you do in the community, and I'm quite sure your constituents, they might not be able to see you as often as they like, but they do appreciate the work that you're doing in your wards and for the at-large council men. I believe that you are appreciated. I know that you are appreciated, but I want you to know that I appreciate the work that you're doing. And to the clerk, it hasn't been easy coming on in the city. We appreciate you, Mr. Conlon, and West Bridges, and to the law department, we appreciate you too. So I would just like to let all of the directors know that although we don't tell you every day, and although we might go back and forth trying to get the work of the city done, you are appreciated. You're appreciated. You are appreciated. Thank each and every one of you for coming on this evening. And I would like to move for an adjournment. Mr. Collins, it is a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn by Council President McBride. I have a second by Council Vice President Caldwell-Wilson. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Good night.
Opposed? So ordered. We are adjourned at 8:32 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening. If you're not home already, get home safe. We will have the next council meeting on Thursday at 5:30 p.m., which will be the voting meeting. If you have any questions, please contact the clerk's office at clerk@trentonNJ.org. You can find the number on the website. Additionally, you can find the documents for Thursday's meeting posted at ecode360.com. On that first page, just put in the city of Trenton and state of New Jersey, and under the agenda for the council regular meeting, you will find the agenda and the items that you saw on the screen tonight at that location. If you have any questions or problems, please email me or contact me in the clerk's office. Additionally, if you would like to be added to the agenda distribution list, please email me at clerk@trentonNJ.org, and we can add you to the agenda distribution list, and you will receive this distribution list on the Fridays prior to the meeting of the next week. That's it. Thank you for joining us tonight, and have a wonderful evening.
Okay. That basically, I just got the tail end because I was over there when it started.
Hi, Jocelyn. Hi, Miss Jocelyn. You're on the mic, by the way.
Yes, ma'am. Everybody can hear you. Just to let you know.
I'm sorry.
So I know you from being a neighbor, so I just wanted to let you know that I hope that was informative. I'm sorry you missed the first half of it, but that's
Yes,
how
I
the
did. I'm so sorry. And
so should you and I meet after? I think they at least they've stopped recording, but this is still an open meeting, so everything you say is being heard by everyone, evidently.
That is correct. This is, and I'm getting ready to close the link when the IT director and the IT consultant leave, and that'll probably close everything else.
So Matthew, was Mayor Gascoria here at all? Why didn't I see his name? I'm just curious, since I have him in.
He is not on the council, so this is their meeting. They actually have requested his attendance on Thursday, but we have a bifurcated government. We have an administrative branch and we have a legislative branch. The mayor is the administrative branch and the council is the legislative branch. So
in order to maintain that separation of power, I understand that. So my other question is the point of formalities. So once you make a comment, that's it, but you're only supposed to comment about certain things. So is this next meeting going to be an open meeting? And
yes, ma'am. Correct. On the Thursday meeting, it's an open public comment. You get 10 minutes. It's got to be one straight shot. It's not a discussion or a debate. The rules generally are this: decorum. You can't really say, it's according to Robert's rules, you're not supposed to single any person out or say, Councilman Rodriguez, I'm talking to you. It's actually all comments are to be directed to the chairperson of the meeting, which is Council President McBride.
But it's this time it was limited to the docket items. And
rules of council. Per the rules of council, they set their rules a while back, well before I got here. And on Thursday, the meeting is an open public meeting for open public comment as well. On Tuesday, this is actually a lot of municipalities call this a workshop meeting. And it's actually an administrative meeting. It's for them to answer their questions, to get with the administration staff to get questions answered, and to get any extra information that they need to vote on this, that, because they got their packets last week. So they get their packets, they get it with the backup. We don't give the backup to the public because it's confidential, attorney-client privilege material, et cetera. And then this meeting is actually for them to, they can do business in this meeting, but, typically they don't. It's only really in emergent situations that they do that. But in this meeting, they usually just ask questions and decide what the docket is going to be, mostly for the purposes of establishing a consent agenda. And a consent agenda is for an abbreviation of the meeting to make the meeting go,
obviously.
Right, streamline the process.
So my other questions are, when does that public comment period occur at the next meeting? At the end, like this one?
Yes, it'll be at the end. It'll be at the end. This is the public comment period to say resolution 21-118. I agree or disagree with that, and I don't think you should vote on that. I think you should table it, or I think you should do whatever it is you want to say about resolution number, whatever. And that being the case, that is the public's comment period. So you're getting, and that's what the purpose of you being at this meeting is. And once again, it's an administrative meeting, so it's to streamline this meeting.
I'm not concerned.
No, I get that. So, and that's actually what this comment period is.
Sure.
The next meeting is one for your open public comments. There's a cat in my tree that meows every night. The bird is at my window. The sidewalk's cracked. The street's unpaved, and things like that. As well as, I don't like what you voted on tonight, or I think you should vote on this in the future, or I think you should consider this, or I think you should talk to this, that, the other thing, anything. You can read the phone book for 10 minutes for all I care. I mean, that's
fine on a point of, simple rule book formalities. But Ms. Thornton, if you're here, I appreciated your comments. It's just striking that it's not a conversation. I have reached out several times to council members. I've gotten very little response. It's been very disappointing and very frustrating. And to be able to come to a meeting and just be able to speak for 10 minutes and supposedly get all these, problems, and they're much more significant than a cat in a tree, much more significant.
Oh, I understand that. What I was doing is I didn't want to point to any one ordinance to give any. I'm a neutral party, so I don't to give any influence as to whether I approve or disapprove. So I don't actually. I didn't want to make a mistake. The portion is, it's not a conversation. There's actually been a lot of discussion over that throughout the years, and I believe there's a broad depth of knowledge. It's not a discussion period for the public. The public has its right to speak, at certain points. But as far as your other comment, I will say this: since I've been clerk here, I know that every council member who has received a phone call on their cell phones, for the most part, it gets back to the people. If they don't, then something happened. And if you ever have a problem getting in touch or getting a message to a council person, contact me. And I'm a direct conduit where I can email them directly and send it directly to them. I have no problem doing that. It's part of the function of my job. As far as a response, certain things they can and cannot respond to. Certain things are well within the purview of the administration, which is the police arm of this government, and they are the enforcement arm. They carry out the actual, the actual purpose of the resolutions passed by council.
I definitely noticed the inside element of it here. You're right. If you have a cell phone number of a council member, if you're friends with them, they seem to be very good at greasing. No. Let me finish now.
They're posted on the website.
So I could see how they greased that. Yes, when someone called, a homeless family was there to be helped. When I tried to help my tenant, I got no response. We have multiple issues, everything from the policing and mispolicing in our neighborhood. I've never gotten any feedback on how. No. Let me finish.
I'm actually not here to
There's
debate.
never evidently a chance.
I'm not here to debate with you. I'm here on the rules.
I'm not debating. I'm asking, where is the forum?
The other issues.
Where is the forum? Because the emails don't get returned, phone calls don't get returned. There is no answering machine at multiple government numbers. There's no returns to emails. I can bring up my list of them. So where is the response when you're not friends or buds with a council member? You're
I
just
think that's
outside
an
of group?
inappropriate comment, and I have no response other than if you have a problem with contacting the city council, I'd be happy to help facilitate that.
And how would I contact you? Email?
Yes, my email website, my email is very easy, and I changed it to be very easy for the purposes of the public. It is clerk, C-L-E-R-K, at TrentonNJ.org. So if you have something that you would like me to forward to the council, if you would like to drop a letter off, I'd be happy to. As well, their cell phone numbers are actually posted on the website, and they carry them and they answer them.
You don't get any response.
And if you have a problem, reach out to me and I'll let them know.
Well, I've been trying to get cans on our street, like just cans for trash for 8 months now. There's a number of issues.
Okay, and the best person to contact that would be Gary Lowry in the mayor's office. He's a mayoral aide, and Mr. Lowry is extremely diligent at answering constituent complaints, because that falls under the Department of Sanitation, which would fall under the purview of the mayor because it's under Mr. Onatiri's department. So Mr. Onatiri would actually have enforcement with regard to that, and Mr. Lowry would be the best conduit to do that. I
have emailed
his number right now. Hold on 1 second. I'll put it up. Hold on.
I've emailed a number of people. I have emailed.
I'm actually going to show you where to get everybody's number right now. Okay, so I'm going to put this up on the screen for those of the people that are still with us. Okay, so this is City of Trenton's website. Okay, so if you go.
I know. I've been there.
You go into the staff directory. Okay,
yep,
so here.
those numbers.
Okay, there is an office of the mayor. And here is their telephone numbers and a
L-A-W-R-Y, I know.
And Mr. Lowry is right here, L-A-W-E-R-Y. And he's extremely diligent, and he's a good guy. Like, he runs stuff down for the mayor all day long. And there's a lot of stuff. So, I apologize if you haven't got an answer. If you have that problem, please reach out to me, and I'll get it through to them. And once again, if it's appropriate, where it's actually a mayoral administration issue, we'll get it to them as well.
Well, what I've experienced is a lot of passing the issue around. As far as that issue, it's literally putting 6 cans on the street. In this 8 months that I've been emailing them, I've emailed Cobbs, I've emailed Wolob is his name or whatever, but he goes by Wally. I've emailed him. I've left over 10 messages. I have talked multiple times to Cobbs, and every single time I'm told to leave a message. In this time, I could have bought my own cans and installed them on the street. Okay, it's not.
So I'm gonna email me your contact information, and I will forward it to Mr. Lowry. You can email Mr. Lowry directly, and and I'll be sure to follow up. If you copy me on it, I'll be sure to follow up on it.
What happens with accountability when you don't get called back? I have 3 or 4 issues going on. Yeah, and you're right. There is actually a cracked sidewalk too.
Okay, contact me, but this is I'm trying to give information for people to get access to, like, documents and the stuff of the meetings and stuff, and that's why I was actually speaking at the end of the meeting. But I would be happy. I don't want to discuss your business publicly. I would be absolutely happy to, if you send me the list of stuff, I'd be happy to help you.
Everybody needs this kind of response. I'm able to make it to a meeting, but there's thousands of residents that aren't able to make it to these meetings, and I speak on their behalf.
And I'll handle them as fast as I can. A lot of stuff comes through Oprah, and we just actually got the equipment to work from home for that, which is, sometimes, I wasn't here when the equipment wasn't ordered, so I apologize for that. So, the pandemic has really thrown a wrench into the works, but I will help anybody who comes into this office or calls or contacts us, and that's my job.
I think there needs to be a similar sense of accountability around the general functionings of the council, the municipal, the police, all of that, in the same manner that Vaughn talked about accountability.
Again, all the other departments, the clerk's office is the only department that falls under the city council. All the other departments fall under the office of the mayor. So, and that's why I'm saying contact Mr. Lowry with some of these issues, And if you don't get a response, contact me, and the council will reach out to the mayor's office. You may not always get the answer that you want, but at least you're entitled to a response.
No. I'm not talking about the answer I want. I'm talking about an answer at all.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. You may not get the answer you want, but at least you're entitled to an answer, and I'll try to get it facilitated for you, man. Just reach out to me. It's clerk@TrentonNJ.org.
I'll share something fascinating with you. This is the number at Trenton. By the way, obviously Trenton can't even afford an answering machine.
What number is that? I can't see the phone, so I can't.
This is the number of the police internal affairs at Trenton. You would imagine that internal affairs office would be dealing with some pretty serious issues.
The internal affairs bureau. At the time of the tone, please leave a message. Okay, llamado the internal affairs bureau.
That's the first time it's happened, and I've got recordings of the other times. You don't get a call back. You don't get emails back. That's literally the first time I've heard their answering machine, and I have literally called them 15 times in the past 10 months, which I've also recorded, and you can hear it ringing again and again. I'm not sure. I can't believe they actually answered. I can't believe it. Maybe they got a machine now.
You don't want it to.
What?
It always happens when you don't want it to.
But I'll tell you something, because I do record all my conversations with police internal affairs. There's every time there's something unusual where I actually do get contacted back, it's anomalous. I'll tell you right now, you're the clerk. I am not paying my tax. I refuse to pay taxes to a city that can't get a call back. And it's not about the answer I want. It's about an answer at all.
No,
it's about transparency. It's about saying, how is that going? It's only been 3 months, and being told excuses over a range of 12 months. In April, in May, I'm be coming up on 12 months on another issue I have. I'll be coming up on 10 months on trying to get cans installed on the street. I'll be coming up on 6 months on trying to get branches cut. It's, there's a certain point where it's simply excessive. So these are my concerns.
I understand.
And
can help you.
I don't understand why I would pay my taxes in a place like this. I don't understand where my taxes go. And I'm not talking physical results of my taxes. When there's this lack of accountability, when I've talked to Muscal. If you have a problem, ask for this and do that. And then it goes no place. It goes no place.
I'm sorry.
So anyhow, that was my contribution.
I'll try to help as much as possible. Okay? So send me an email. I'll forward it over. Email Mr. Lowry about the garbage can issue. And, and once again, if you have problems contacting people, let me know and I can help you a little bit. Yeah.
45. Do you have a frequent urgent need to urinate?
Okay. I'm going to actually leave this meeting and let them close it down now. I just wanted to give the public service announcement. If that was helpful, I hope it was. And I'm going to go home and go to bed. Because I got an hour. I got an hour of work to do here before I do that. So everybody have a good night. Ms. Chowder, do you have anything else?
No, I have a series of issues around it. Which I'll address at the next points. Putting cameras in Trenton is going to be some very serious civil rights issues. The presentation of Trenton as like helping everyone, and we're going to put up these cameras, and it's going to be all nice now. I have heard horrific stories of police abuse throughout Trenton. I've experienced police abuse in Trenton. My renters have been profiled, and my renters are active duty service.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, well, I won't get into specifics.
Please, this is not a forum to bash the police right now. I'm trying to be helpful and procedural.
I'm not bashing the police. I'm talking about balancing civil rights.
Okay, but that is not my function. So I'm actually asking about things that affect my function, and I'm trying to.
We need to clean up our streets. We need to clean. The streets need to get cleaned up. We need lights. I've asked for lights. It was interesting to hear people talk about that and say things like, all you had to do was call and so installed a light. I was like, really? Because no one's ever installed a light on my street, and I'm in front of a school. We don't have a speed bump. We're the only school that I've ever seen in my ever that doesn't have a speed bump. Why do Trenton schools not have speed bumps and 25 mile per hour signs? A student died there a couple years ago.
Yeah, I will, like I said, email me and we'll get it to the mayor and we'll get it to the departments that it needs to get to, and there'll be, you'll get a response, okay?
All right, great. Okay, good night.
Okay, have a good night.
And wow.